Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, it's a brand new dawn of a brand new season, and opportunity is here for people to score what is all important, a win to get themselves ready. Welcome to Montemelo in Spain, and a circuit that is known as the Dyno Test. Welcome to action here as we get ourselves underway here for your Premier Endurance League GT3 Open Series. I'm Jake Sperry, it's Scott Rankin alongside with me today with Jay Kennedy in the production truck. Scott, big key of this one is going to be how much do you want to push the limits here, because this is a circuit that offers so much amazing driving prowess, but the more you push, the more the car is just put into, I would say, difficulty.
Yeah, and that's the big problem with the current time model that we're on. As we go to the track map, this is actually the perfect time to talk about it. Down here on the coastline in Barcelona, this is a common holiday destination in the middle of summer. People want to get down here for the surf and the sun, much the same reason you come to the Southern Hemisphere just at the other end of the year. This track, we just about all know it. This one has been around and in operation for yonks. That's the technical term, by the way. Since 1991, this is the older layout. We're not going to be using that final chicane today, but that actually challenges the drivers more than if we were to use the chicane. And we'll get into the reasons for that. Have a look at turn 1, turn 3, turn 4, turn 9, 12, 13, and 14. What do we have, Jake? A whole bunch of long apex corners, all leading on that left front tire.
Yeah, they're all parabolic, and it's that style that often just shreds tire again and again and again. There's no reprieve around this track until you get out of 14 and the run down to turn 1. It's the reason why we call it the dyno test of a racetrack, and it's one here that the circuit built just before the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. Here opened in 91. That offers this clockwise variant out there, and that challenges you as you climb up and around the hills. So let's take a look at our season in terms of where we are going to be over the course of running, because we start here at Barcelona, but it's worth talking about where they're heading, and it is all about this European start to this American end. Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke round 2, but Scott, Road Atlanta at the Michelin Raceway, Sebring and Daytona. It's the classics to end the season out September through November.
Yeah, this is kind of nearly the isolated event on the calendar, whereby it doesn't really have necessarily all that much prestige to the event that goes on as a part of that. All of those other racetracks have big races that you really want to go out there and do your best on, and big ticket occasions. This is really the isolated event on that calendar. That also offers the opportunity, have a look at the variants in the calendar as well. Long sweeping corners, you get a little bit of that Nürburgring GP track. Then Michelin Road Atlanta is flip-flop, challenging the downforce levels of the race car. Major overtaking opportunity down the back straightaway. The bumps of Sebring will challenge the traction and the ability to keep yourself glued. And then Daytona, get that thing pointed, put it in a straight line, and hammer that throttle pedal as early as you possibly can. Vastly different styles of racetrack, vastly going to challenge what is currently one of the best balanced fields in terms of GT3 spread in balance of performance that we have seen for a very, very long time.
Very excited about that. Now, 25 minutes of qualifying has already concluded, so we'll be heading to the grid shortly. The race distance, though, it's a 2-hour race on a 65% fuel tank restriction. So we have seen that it's normally been 3 stops, Scott, but hearing from Sean Campbell today, he said, absolutely 100%, this is a 2-stop race. And I'm inclined to believe him.
Yeah, the man is a little bit out there in terms of the way that he goes about things, but what that does happen is it means that his operation of the calculator is certainly right up there and amongst the best of them. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of fuel and the cars that you drive as well. We've got such a breadth of manufacturers in the field. They all have different size fuel tanks. You've got the McLaren, which has the biggest tank of the lot of them. Then the rest of them are sort of all in that 100 range. The Porsche down at 99 litres is one of the smallest. Porsche's the unloved stepchild of this field at the moment. It's not really got a lot of support, and you're going to be seeing that throughout the season. Perhaps the thing with the engine at the wrong end of the car, well, perhaps it is the wrong end of the car at the moment.
Maybe, so they're going to be certainly hoping that they jump up. But the grid looks as follows then for today. Damon Woods for Motorsport SimWorld X SX on top at the moment, 141.473. Sean Campbell is going to be alongside for company on that front row. And so following on from that is Sebastian Eskandari, the young starlet at Team Max Boost, with Kaylin Williams then of GT World Challenge fame. They're in 4th position for Logitech GODBM. Zach Rattray White and Dean Mackay, they house themselves on row 3 of the grid, as Harrison Lillis will be going from 7th place, with Andrew Scordilis for One Performance Racing there in 8th, with that lovely popping livery that is there. Vermilion's Lewis Greathead is 9th, and Lockhart Brownie means another Logitech GODBM car, Scott, in the top 10.
Yeah, and then we'll get back outside the 10, and that was covered by 633 thousandths of a second. Danny Davison will be just outside of the top 10 in that Lamborghini. William Sapstead will be in the Mustang to his outside. Marino Morella just over a quarter of a second back from our race leader. He'll be lining up alongside of Lachlan Capel, who, by the way, we believe the furthest up in the McLarens in this field. Such is the struggle street for the 720S at the moment. Richard Mitchum is 778 and 885 back to Kobe Williams. That is a lot deeper in the field than I expected to be seeing car number 900. He'll have some work to do in front of him. Byron Pierce is going to be just under a second back from our race leader, and Madeline McGee will be in 18th place. Final row inside of the top 20 is going to be dead on 1 second back for Joshua Holmes. I'm lining up alongside Alexander Barallo.
Then over to row number 11, where Dylan Shepherd and Harald Stadler are there together, 21st and 22nd. Angus Lawford for Project 36 is there in 23rd, with Ethan Bass there in 24th, representing Scotland out there with the lovely Motherwellish colours there on his helmet. Jackson Dial and Daniel Yeaman there in 26th position, just missing the 1 second train out there as things went. Eli Donaldson and Chris Taylor then housing row 14. 29th belonging to William Morgan for Pacific Esports Racing, or captain as he will be for this one for the Pacific team. Mark Hilly making up your 30.
Yeah, we'll get back outside of the 30 to Greg Coot in another of the Lamborghinis way down deeper in the field. It'll be interesting to see what happens to that car, by the way, when we get the Temerario in the near future. Potentially Aiden Rankin will line up alongside of him. No, that is no relation whatsoever. Trust me, we've already asked. Jordan Mazzaroli will be 1.5 seconds off the lead. Sam Mazzomo deeper in the field in the Synergy Sim Racing Porsche. I'm sure we'll have a conversation about the shift from 9.5 to Synergy over what comes to us. Miles Burgess and Kane Wright are only going to be separated by 8 thousandths of a second all the way back to 36th. Jason Wilkinson will be 1.7 seconds back off the lead. Lachlan Pryke only 17 thousandths further back in another of the Rapid Theft Racing Mustangs. Rounding out the top 40 is going to be our final row of Tristan McLaren and Joel Jansen. By the way, we might actually have a chat to Tristan McLaren at some point throughout this one. He is available for a chat to us.
He very much is. Jaden Green is not as much available in the Project 36 car. He's 41st with Curtis Bird in 42nd. Still within 2 seconds of the fastest time, as you've got Nick Wood with the Kiwi helmet in 43rd. Corey Bennett for Azure Autosports in 44th place. You've then got Brock Cadet there for AITX Revolution eRacing. One for the commentators out there with Dean Reddit there in the 46th position for Riot Sim Racing. We then got Brendan Purcell 47th, and only one non-time setter out there. That's Trent Allen in 48th in the Audi. And so we'll be looking to go on the back of this very packed field today. 2 hours will be on the clock, and we've been keeping an eye here, Scott, on these track temperatures, because it was up at 52 degrees Celsius for qualifying. We've gone and moved it an hour forward, and look at it, the track's dropped 10 degrees. And
this will be critical to the way that you get these tyres up and then maintain their temperature and their pressures certainly as well. That will be a big element of racing here tonight. So the big thing is, at 50 degrees Celsius, which is what we were qualifying in, we were setting 141.4s. Can we dip down into the 40s when we're 10 degrees cooler? The bigger thing will be managing that left front tire. You'll see these guys have to work extremely sensitively to take as much weight off that corner of the car as they possibly can. Race setups might be a little bit twitchy when they get lower on the fuel. Massive amounts of tire wear. 2 pit stops, and we'll get to that in the broadcast as well. What do you do in your tire strategy? Is it left sides only at the first one? Is it 4 at the second one? You are definitely going to have to take 4 tires at that second pit stop.
Absolutely, they're still piloting around Bank Sabadell at turn 12 as the pace car dives in. They'll have to wait for the drop of the green here to go with Damon Woods in control. Sean Campbell for grid and go. There is the launch then, and let's get ourselves underway immediately. So he's got the launch exactly how he wanted it there, did Damon Woods, and immediately you look back at Zach Rattray-White. He was very switched on that restart, pushing Eskandari down the main straight towards turn 1 to get the run. Now looking to go to the outside. Eskandari trying to lean up against him there to say no, and there's trouble as there's a spin in the back there as Dean Mackay goes around, and now here, watch the rejoin for the ODBM car there that's trying to go through that. Acura just about joins okay there, just enough for I believe Harrison Lillard's Lockhart Brownlee it would have been who would have been in trouble from that get-go. But my goodness, an aggressive start that goes wrong at the first corner for only one car. Zach Rattray-White fighting hard for that second. Eskandari's nibbling.
Yeah, there's going to be opportunity here, but again, these are cold tyres at this point in time. Anyone who brings their tyres up really quickly here is going to pay a penalty for it. What you're going to see as they start to work their way into the stint as well is that they're going to get a little bit suckered by dirty air. This is their best opportunity to get aggressive. I'd be on the front foot. I'd rather be on the front foot and thinking I can be a little bit more defensive, because you need such a pace disparity to get a move done. So have a look for anyone to build a run immediately off here, off of turn 9. I was just keeping an eye on Lillis, who's all over the back end of Danny Davison.
Oh, there's a bit of side-by-side with Stadler and Josh Holmes. Dan Yeaman's going to pick up run as well. This is a very aggressive start. Some big defences. Oh, Rich Mitchum's gone straight on, and he's just about able to avoid jumping on through. Sorry, Dylan Shepherd down the inside of Rich Mitchum there. So Dylan Shepherd had a big moment. Now it's a big slowdown. It's big contact there as just behind him. That's Madeline McGee. She's in trouble out there. And also one in the gravel behind will have no luck at all off of this. That's Angus Lawford, who has to get back going in the Lamborghini Huracan.
And that was the problem for Lawford, was that he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was incidents and stuff going on. Chris Taylor's now gone around at the second to final last corner as well, at the top of the hill. He's got something that's just been called into race control. There was a couple cars dipped wheels, left side tyres, out of the last corner in the gravel and got terrible runs down the main straightaway. So some big winners on lap 1. Zach Rattray-White right there and amongst them. He gets clear to second spot. I cannot tell you how important that is.
Well, we'll take a look at this for Angus Lawford. Hits the brakes, or lost it before there was any contact. So what would that have been there, Scott? Was that just a case of grabbing a little bit too much brake?
Well, the problem was there was cars, it was the rejoin of Dylan Shepherd just ahead of him. Now, I'm not going to put this one on Dylan Shepherd, but Shepherd had a slowdown penalty. He was looking for somewhere to go, and I think Gus is a really good driver. I actually genuinely believe he's just read that situation wrong with the grip levels that he's had and the way that the Lamborghini drives. If you get into a corner a little bit too hot, just with the way that the suspension balance is, Shepherd's just missed his braking marker, and he's just trying to get out of here and not clean anyone up down the inside. Gets a slowdown penalty for cutting the track that aggressively, and you'll see him yield all these positions right there. So yeah, for Lawford, I think he's just in too hot, and the Lamborghini, when it's cold, no heat in the rear end, it is all over the place.
William Morgan then here for Pacific Esports Racing in the Aston Martin under immense pressure. Yeaman to the inside, looking for a way to get it done at the long Lakaitsa corner, turn number 10, and looking for this one to go back the other way at turn 12 at Bank Sabadell, but climbing the hill, it's covered off. And so you play the trade-off game very often. Can you get the pass at one corner? No. Are you going to have to settle back? There's normally an opportunity that comes by the other way.
Yeah, and you've got to pounce on it whenever you get that opportunity because they're going to be so few and far between. Dan Yeaman's out in the garage, hence why he's got himself the Sudspeed jumper on and trying to get a little bit comfortable. His tricky part is this Aston Martin's going to have a lot of poke in a straight line. That's what happens when you get V8 with turbos. He's in the Chevrolet, and this car, I can tell you from experience, Jake, has problems with anything that's bumpy. The suspension setup on it is diabolical to try and get right.
Absolutely. So for Yeaman here through turn 3, he's working very hard to get this sorted, but that outside track can work and can make it all happy out there. First penalty comes through on race control. That is for the 193 machine of Miles Burgess, who gets 10 seconds for causing a penalty on the opening lap.
Yeah. And yeah, that'll be a tricky one. I think the thing is that everyone's just sort of bailing everywhere and trying to grab, like we're talking, get aggressive. Cold tires, they can't really take it. Work your way into the stint though as well. Was sort of what the instruction from race control was to the field. You've got to remember that when you've got 45 cars in the field and the incident happens up in the front few rows, that causes issues further back in the field. This is the pinch at the final corner. Remember I said, I think it was Chris Tyler was to the inside. That's how his Mustang ended up there.
Yeah. All over the Iraq chicane, the RACC, and dealing with what's going on. Yeaman happy in his position. Group now leads Woods, Rattray White, Eskandari, Campbell, your top 4. Lewis Greathead was under pressure on the last lap there in the Vermilion Ferrari from Andrew Scordilis. Scordilis was on the outside, didn't make the move. Now Scordilis in the Mustang moves to the inside to go and get it as Zach Rattray White goes purple. Here comes the look to the inside, and there's contact there. And that's going to be a jumped out Ferrari in Lewis Greathead, who's immediately onto race control for it. What a disaster there. You are not going to win in a fight between that brick of a Mustang.
He missed the apex. He was in deep with Scordilis, so he'll know that he's in trouble for that one. The big problem that Lewis Greathead's got, and the big benefit is how early that one's sort of come in the stint. The tyres wouldn't have been overheating at this point. They would have been still sort of just about coming in, about up to pressure right about now. But the big problem is that would have sent them skyrocketing through the roof. He's got to rebuild that one. Have a look. The big thing is keep your eyes on the apex and this yellow curb down the inside. And you can just see that Lewis is sort of turned in on an arc that is not going to make contact with the car inside if he makes the apex and the car to the inside's deep in on the anchors.
But at what points, look, that jump was going to do no favours there to the underside there for Greathead. But at what point does the argument, oh, I've got the inside, I dictate where to turn, where does that come into play there?
They were still significantly alongside, and that's the problem. There was still probably 2/3 of a car alongside. At that point, he's significantly alongside. If he shuts the door on him, it's never going to end well, and I think that's what race control will be having a look at this point in time as well.
Eskandari here in third, under pressure from Sean Campbell, who now looks to try and get that Lamborghini humming and singing here. The Max Boost Acura in a straight line, watches behind, gets right up underneath the exhaust, pulls to the right-hand side, leaves it as late as possible, earlier on the brakes, then goes Eskandari, realising it might be better for my race here, Scott, if I just hold on to the coattails there of Sean Campbell, and he pulls me back to Zach Rattray White and Damon Woods.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you can necessarily go ahead with, but it's quite clear to me that Acura fired its tyres up better. And again, Eskandari just had a bit of progress down into turn number 1. The support for him on that opening lap was just stronger. And Sean just bought his time a little bit. Again, the big thing that you don't want to overdo on this opening lap is fire those tyres up and fry them. We are talking about a 45 degrees Celsius track temp at this point in time. At a track where the corners are long. Think about Formula 1s. This is one of the highest deg tracks on the Formula 1 circuit. And these guys have got to do a heck of a lot longer on a set of tyres, heck of a lot more car to them, heck of a lot more fuel on board as well.
Dylan Shepherd gets pushed back at by Byron Pierce. 2 nibbles for the inside, and then suddenly Shepherd over the curb has the slow down penalty to serve. So there will go Richard Mitchum back through, and he will have blinkers on as he looks behind and go, oh no, not Dylan Shepherd behind me again into this corner, surely not. And ultimately he'll be okay, because now here comes Alexander Barallon looking to the inside and not quite getting there on Dylan Shepherd. All that battling has cost Byron Pierce the back of his teammate Kobe Williams, with Marina Morella and William Sapstead there in front.
I wouldn't be thinking too much about that at that point in time. The big key is he's back out in clear air, and he's in 14th spot with an opportunity to keep walking forward. At this point in time, Kobe's going to be getting a little bit of the benefit from the draft, definitely compared to him, but he's got clean air to the nose. I'd use this opportunity to perhaps maybe save a fraction of fuel, but more importantly is look after those front tyres. It's a great opportunity to just back your braking zones up a little bit, just reduce that peak speed. And there's one of the things that gets talked about a lot is that initial load on that brake pedal. Getting on the brakes early and hard is a really, really bad thing. Someone was very wide, turn 3, because Will Sapstead was just... I wonder if Jay could actually get us a shot of that, because it's really, really difficult. But he was actually beyond the curbing. He was actually beyond the white line of the track surface at turn 3 just then. So he is having troubles with his mussing. I don't know if it was push on the way in, or if he got a tank slapper in the middle of the corner and he had to catch it, just wander wide.
Well, I'm having a look at it here. I think it's just push, because there's no rotation at the wheel otherwise. He's just trying to get it in the corner, and it's just not biting up for him. So that's why he finds all the trouble here on the Scorsa replay then, and that is what is going to put him in a place where I would say not quite what he would want out there at the moment. Now, we do have the safety car ready and waiting in pit lane if any incident comes through. No further action then declared between Andrew Scordilis there and Lewis Greathead. So that turns around to me and says, well, you got on further enough down into the corner. The responsibility was to wait. It's a racing incident. And often, Scott, the one thing that every driver's like, oh, this driver's at fault, this driver's at fault, this driver's at fault. Everyone forgets that racing incident is still a very viable tool in the arsenal of a race control. Correct.
And so what they've said about Lewis there is that basically he's choked off the car that was to his inside. So therefore, both drivers have had a factor to play in contact being triggered, and that's what race control's opinion on that one is. So they're effectively saying both drivers have contributed sufficiently that we cannot primarily land this on either driver at fault. Therefore, we're not going to issue a penalty because it wasn't primarily one driver.
Oh, lovely lunge down the inside. Dean Mackay on the recovery drive now, looking to start making progress. This will get him inside to 31st position then as he starts getting by. Jordan Mazzaroli, he makes the pass on. He eyes up Aidan Rankin now in the Porsche as the next driver to try and jump on through. Now, the responsibility, Scott, of trying to recover through a field rather than being up in front racing with like-minded drivers is all about how you go one at a time. The best at it at the moment, Lachlan Pryke, up 11.
Yeah, so he would have gotten aggressive. You don't pick off 11 spots by getting them all one by one. So he would have been a massive beneficiary of all the chaos that happened on lap 1. There was about 3 or 4 cars that went backwards in and around where he was. So he's benefited off, to the tune of maybe 4 or 5 positions. The rest of those he's had to pick off. I'd say he probably picked off 2 or 3 on the first lap, and the rest of them one by one. Also says his qualifying car wasn't all that brilliant. His race car might just be about looking after that left front tyre. Here comes another one.
Yep, straight to the inside. Lunges deep, overcommits it through, and look at that. Aidan Rankin just lets him run through the door, and he says, well, you forgot to lock it, I'm not letting you back in.
Yeah, he's going to have to get the locksmith tools back out to get his way back in. Big key is Dean Mackay's pushing hard to get his way back through the field. That's interesting to see that Sean's been the driver to come back through and set the fastest lap of the race now at a 1:41.480. So that says to me that he was bringing the tyres in gently, whereas the other two sort of set off a little bit. You probably would have seen them hesitate a little bit on their pace in the opening couple of laps, and now that pace is starting to come in Sean's direction. This track is going to take rubber as the race continues, and well, from all my NASCARing stuff at the moment, rubber simulations, it just generates tyre heat when you lock on that rubber. Lots of grip.
We just cut away at the wrong point there as Simon Mazzomo just got a nibble on the, got nibbled behind by Lachlan Pryke, trying to get that dive through. Now again gets to the inside here at turn 4. Look at the angle, there's hardly anything there for the Synergy Sim Racing driver to hold out and open up the line. Lachlan Pryke is everywhere, Burgess is there, they're also scrapping in front. Here's a look at the BG himself, Simon Mazzomo, and he is looking around at this thinking, right, well, what's my priority with Lachlan Pryke behind me? I would say it would be staying alive, Scott.
Yeah, have a look at the hands on the wheel as well, and just look at he's having to have a couple different bites at the cherry and go, and now he did get into him. He did get into him there was definite contact and he had to catch it.
And that is 3 places gone for Mazzomo, and you look over, he's like, I can't believe that's just happened. He's had a nibble at 1, a nibble at 4, a nibble up at turn 9, and I don't think, if I'm being honest in my heart of hearts, that Lachlan Pryke was near enough alongside.
No, there's no way. Turn 9's not an overtaking opportunity. What you're trying to do at turn 9, though, is set them up for the run down the back straightaway to have another crack at them at turn 10. So it's all about making sure they compromise their entry for a bad exit out the other way. So you're trying to build that run, and the car ahead, Mez he just didn't carry enough entry speed for his liking. Now Mez is going to be vulnerable to Dean Mackay as well.
And Dean's going to absolutely fly on this front stretch. They are already here with this group charging through 25 seconds off the race lead. Now watch out, here comes the opportunity, 3 wide into turn number 1. Mazzomo on the outside, it's going to be Rankin who holds his ground, and Dean Mackay can't get anything, and look at how they swarm behind. Mazzaroli, Wilkinson, you got McGee there and Kane Ryder all thinking about how do we get through. Lovely pickup out of turn 3. This opens up Repsol corner at turn 4, straight to the inside, and there goes 1, and will it be a pocket picked as Mazzaroli wants Mazzomo, a battle of the double C's.
Yeah, Mez recognised he was about to lose that one. The problem for Wilkinson is he's had to go aggressive to be defensive from the car in behind. So it's Mazzaroli that he's defending from Jason Wilkinson. The problem for Jason Wilkinson in that particular point is that he had no idea how aggressive Mazzaroli was trying to be on the car ahead. But it's when an opportunity brews, that was a lot of curve there for Mazzaroli as well. So the thing is, when that opportunity presents itself, you've got to try and take it again. These cars are struggling to chase each other. Wilkinson makes a mistake.
Yeah, got too close there to the back of the car in front, which would have been Jordan Mazzaroli. So Madeline, she's going to make up a pass there with a comfortable move out there to get around Jason Wilkinson. Kane Ryder, teammate to Madeline McGee, is now going to be thinking, how do I go and get through? And the group continues on. Sean Campbell, by the way, setting another fastest lap of the race, a 1:41.4 as he pulls to within half a second of Zach Rattray-White in second. This hasn't been a big breakaway race at the front, Scott. It's only been about 1.5 seconds maximum out there, as here comes the attempt now once again down the main straight. This will be surely as comfortable can be for Dean Mackay. It is, he gets the pass, and behind that, Mazzomo at the moment, well, he's being pushed here, there and everywhere. Mazzaroli wants another go. Madeline McGee now will go to the outside.
Yeah, and this might just set up Mazzaroli to be weak to McGee when they get down here to Repsol yet again.
Trouble, big trouble, Kobe Williams.
Just looking into a few different things, that might have been with Dylan Shepherd. Shepherd was on the radio, so I guarantee you're going to see the OPR and Eclipse cars come together, and Car 74 has picked up a 10-second post-race penalty as well.
Right, we're going to need a look at this, because this is the case of what happens when you've got the 8-pin and the 10-pin left out there when you're bowling. You're looking to try and get your spare, Scott, and ultimately I would say this is the perfect clean-up job. You can see here Mitchum goes to the inside, looks for the move, followed immediately by Shepherd, but Shepherd ends up going in too deep, and whoop, round you go, 10-pin dispatched.
I was going to say that's more of like snooker. What are we thinking? 8-ball corner pocket? He's collected the blue ball on the way through. Cool. But yeah, and the thing, I don't know if you know this, Sperry, but you put the 8-ball in the corner pocket, a few balls too early, yeah, that's a foul.
Yeah, it is. It's actually the loss of the game to put the 8-ball in pocket too early in 8-ball pools, so that really puts you in a problem in that regard. But for the moment, Lachlan capable. Now, for all of what we talked about the McLaren struggling in qualifying, look at how it's being unlocked in race pace.
Yeah, again, just placing the car in right positions. I don't know whether or not they were actually able to extract extreme pace out of the McLaren, but I was effectively in an early variant of the setup for this car last weekend, and there was some tinkering and stuff done behind the doors and a little bit of a discussion for it. I got to drive an earlier version of this setup, I can tell you, compared to what I was running last weekend in the McLaren. Way too much wing on it. You can't afford to do that when you're in a series of this quality as opposed to the limited series. So wing definitely had to come off it, because if you are slow, you are vulnerable in a straight line. You might be able to pull it all back under the corners, but you know, if you're just weak in a straight line, it's that chess match, isn't it, Sperry? If you're weak in a straight line but you're quick through all the corners, well, where are all the overtaking opportunities? Straight lines.
Absolutely, and that's why we talk between qualifying set and race set, that naturally a qualifying set has a lot more wing in it.
Yeah, for extracting pace, you just want to be able to carry that mid-corner speed. The other thing is, in terms of qualifying versus race set, well, a qualifying run on a set of tyres, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 laps. I try to stay away from saying the numbers, Sperry, I really did. But it's going to be in that sort of a range. Anything longer than that, and the tyre's past its best. And it's about building that tyre to the correct temperatures and then setting the lap as best as you possibly can. We're going to do with that a little bit more camber, you're right, a little bit more wing, because, well, overtaking cars doesn't really matter in a qualifying lap. It's all about what nets the greatest pace. If you give up a 10th in straight line, but you're 2/10 quicker through the corner preceding that straight line, well, that's 1/10 better in terms of overall lap speed. That's how you're going about it. The big thing I'm seeing from the Sean Campbell Lamborghini, though, is it's got really good long-run pace. And I think, like I said it back at the start, Escondari was there ahead of him in the opening stanza. I just think he's just gone about bringing this Lamborghini in really nicely. He'll be gentle to these tyres. Watch the wheel work. If we can go on board with him for a little bit and just watch the wheel work, there'll be no activation of the ABS whatsoever. The feeding will be really gentle and smooth. Watch how slow his hands are here, Sperry, because to be the best GT3 drivers in the world, the best on the current iteration of tyre, look how little hand movement there was through turn 9 there. You cannot scrub that left front tyre. And he's caught up behind another car, heat coming off the back end of that car ahead. It's also pulling you forward through the straight line. So there's a couple ways you go about setting this overtake up. Either you're better on pace, and you're better on pace, roll up to overtake them, Bob's your uncle, you're done, you're out of there. You are better on the tyre, or you're better on the fuel. Those are the 3 ways to get it done.
He is just inching that steering wheel. It's almost like it's on a pulley system or a lever, Scott, where he's just, can I crank a little bit more, hold it, and it goes. And the car just responds to it, and that's what you want as a driver, surely. A car that feels like you don't have to do too much, and it's doing all the work for you, and you just feel like, okay, I just need to move a few dials and basically put a couple of rotations in the steering wheel, and it's doing everything I want it to do. It's singing.
Yeah, and these GT3 cars as well, lots of downforce, lots of grip being added to the car. Not prototype levels, obviously, definitely not open wheeler levels, but in terms of all the sports cars that we've got open to us, this is the highest downforce package of any of the sports cars in the world. You can get some bigger, better cars, but this is the one that's most commonly race. Track day and what do you call it, time attack cars, winglets and stuff everywhere, it gets excessive. This is not that. So then what are you trying to do is you're trying to get the car to yaw and do a little bit of the turning itself. You're going to drive the car off the rear tires. Well, that's going to wear your rears. So it's a balance of, in some corners I want to be wearing the fronts and adding heat to the fronts, and the rest of the lap I want to be wearing the rears. And that allows you to balance the car and balance the wear out quite significantly. Look at the accuracy there. And go on board again with Sean Campbell when we get to the last 2 corners again, Jay, if we can, because I'll highlight something. You're going to see some stonking big anti-cut curbs. They're yellow around this place in some cases, they're orange in a couple of others. So just stay with this, look at the line. He's up and on the curbs, again trying to get the car to rotate itself. Watch the difference in line at this apex. They're both very similar. Cuts back in a little bit earlier looking for a little bit of drive. It's this next right-hander. You have to cut down to the right-hand side next to these cones. Have a look at the difference in line here. Sean can carry a little bit wider. He can crest that curb. Rattray White is lower to the ground. He cannot touch that anti-cut curb on the outside of the track. Sean can. That is considered legal racing limits, by the way. That is well and truly within play. I'm watching a couple of cars up and down the fields. I believe the Acuras can do it. The McLarens cannot. And I think the Porsches cannot as well. They also bottom out on that curb. But that's how you set up a race car.
Very much. And so with that Lamborghini Huracan able to crest the curves, the Ferrari a little bit more highly strung in the regard that it can't, You are now seeing the personality that goes through between these two drivers. But on that last lap, they lost 4 5/10 of a second to Damon Woods, who leads now at a tune of 2.5 seconds as Danny Davidson loses out to Byron Pierce. You would have seen on the top of your screen a 10-second penalty to Dylan Shepherd out there as the pass made from Byron Pierce then over Danny Davidson. Davidson not quite giving it up, but lifts early on the brakes, and so says, I'm not going to give this one a fight right now. Well, speaking of fights, look at this Mustang right now. That's the 193, struggling out a little bit there in terms of pace. Miles Burgess for One Performance Racing having to try and figure out which way am I going to have to deal with this group now that has formed here, because you've got Dean Mackay in front, you've also got Lachlan Pryke, and behind that, Greg Cook.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at a couple cars just to try and see if there's any sort of fuel saving going on at this point in time. But these guys are just throwing hammer and tong at each other, and you know that's the trouble. Is you want to get clear, you want to settle yourself in, but the problem is you've also got 3 Mustangs that lead the way in this little battle pack. Burgess is trying to drive his way back through, as is Dean Mackay. So the 2 teammates work together, definitely, 100% for certain. But yeah, it's everybody else is not working together. They want to maximise the positions they can go.
They absolutely are. There is Caelan Williams then in 5th position, working hard at the moment in a very isolated island right now. He will see down the bottom of the straight that Sean Campbell has the lunge on the inside for second. Zach Rattray White, though, sweeping around the outside, almost a bit of contact between them, and all the way 2 tyres over the white line. It's going to be for Sean Campbell. He had to go to the nth degree, but look at this for ZR Dub. He's going to cut back up and under. He's got the inside now for Repsol. It's a battle on the brakes between them, and Zach Rattray White holds his ground as the place in second behind Damon Woods, and he's been second to Damon Woods all throughout the Porsches in the Motor Racing Pro Invitational, and now he finds himself second again here in the Premier Endurance League. He's like the Jonas Vingegaard to Damon Woods' Tadej Pogačar.
Yeah, and sometimes you need a teammate, and Sean Campbell at this point in time would very much like car 17 to be disappearing in his rear view. Have a look at them bouncing over the curbs as well. The additional thing I was just actually having a look at, and the one thing that I noticed is that steering wheel, it's an Asher McLaren steering wheel. Why? Because I got one of those bad boys sitting behind me as well. And guess what? That's a Ferrari. That's not a McLaren. Zach, I'm very disappointed in you.
Well, he's mixing and matching his brands out there to see what fixes, and it's the only thing you can do in sim racing to break the realism out there, and this could be more to go as they work around the outside, so keep your eyes up steady. We are getting word that Dylan Shepherd might have had a secondary moment here with what should be Richard Mitchum again then for trouble, and it's turn 5 again on the brakes again, in deep again, pushing and turning a driver around. Look, Scott, at what point do you just have to turn around and stop driving into his quarter panel as if he doesn't exist? That's just stupid.
He got him loose, like, I don't know, like, it's interesting because, again, this is where the different platforms actually go about generating their speed, and for him to be that deep on the brakes, the only thing, like, at the end of the day, Shepherd is a good enough and a most capable enough driver to not be making those sorts of mistakes. So that says to me, first and foremost, is there's a difference in the way that the cars are going about it. And the second half of that equation says, is Mitchum fuel saving? Because that's the only... I can't make that work in my brain unless there's another factor to that. Or Mitchum's struggling with the rear, which means he's underdriving all the entries.
Well, it's one or the other, but after the first contact, surely you have to just lift off the throttle completely, let the car in front unsettle, and not just drive through it. You've got to have better reactions than that. It's created a lot of gravel out there at that section, and I've just got word in from race control as another little look at Lekaitsa for the move there for Sean Campbell. Dylan Shepherd has been handed another 25 seconds worth of penalty. He's up to 35 post-race penalty seconds.
I think the care factor has gone out the window. We saw it as well, like you said. Getting into him a couple times as well. Once the car's actually on the side, it's very, very difficult to stay out of the car ahead. You've really not just got to clear the throttle pedal, but you've actually got to start to get back on the brake. Because once you get into them, they're not a NASCAR. You don't get to lift the rear end of them up loose by dumping air in that sort of the space of the car, but you can sort of lift the rear suspension out, which unsettles them a little bit again. So once the car's on the slide, anything from that point on, yeah, you can sort of sit there and go, yeah, look, there's probably not a huge deal he could have done, but up until that point, he could have done so much more. I'm disappointed in that, I've got to be honest.
Well, on top of that, we're hearing and a license point has been added on to him. So that is going to be a big warning out there as Harrison Lillis right now creating this one performance racing sandwich on some lovely Orbit drop bear bread as things currently stand. We're going to go further back in the pack, though, and look over to Eli Donaldson at the moment for Vermilion Esports, piloting the McLaren in 18th place, and he's up 9 and having a very nice run of things as well, concentrating hard. What a lovely lot of die-cast there in the background.
Well, it's die-cast and it's Lego as well, because it was basically, he sent me a message earlier this afternoon as, hey, you're going to get to see my ugly mug on the broadcast here tonight. And then we went and had a chat about some setups and other bits and pieces. But the big thing is, you can see from his perspective, he is very, very focused at this point in time. When you're in the zone, I used to do this when I was motorcycling, by the way, as well. I used to get mouthfuls upon mouthfuls upon mouthfuls full of dirt because your jaw just hangs open because you're focused that much. Another driver that used to do it was Scott Gamble and V8 Veterans as well. I used to watch his webcam a whole bunch.
Oh, off the road in front, and that's going to be Dylan Shepard, and now on a tightrope, trying to get it done. Eli, what a move that is, but he's gone deep, and Shep's going to come back at him now, and remember, Shep's seen the red mist descend, and so he's not going to be too happy at anyone he's fighting with. Move made. Eli Donaldson, they're having to catch a lot of rotation off the exit of the corner. He's got it.
But the big thing I wasn't happy about within that one was Shepard had a slowdown penalty. So he shouldn't have been defending that and pinching Eli to the inside. Again, that's poor form. So all of the other stuff that's happened, once you got that slowdown penalty, man, just clear the thing. If that guy's going to get you, try and find the opportunity to slot in. Like, I'm not happy with him pinching all the way to the left-hand side of the road because Eli was just about 2 tires in the dirt on the left-hand side of the road. I am not happy with that.
Yeah, and Dan Yeaman now's got the best seat in the house, and he has a little look at it there. Out of 2 into 3, you can be opportunistic through there, but not finding it is the ultimate cause of concern there for him on that. So I would be turning at that and saying, okay, I'm close, but how much do I want to be aggressive trying to find it? Chris Taylor right now trying to get that turned into the lanes here for Corvus Motorsport, 42nd position. Gotta love the background there. That goes the extra mile there, seeing the dedication of the screen in the back.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, he's conducting this race from the office. He's ready for his meeting in, gee, how long have we got left in this one? 1 hour and 30 minutes? He's got a meeting in 1 hour and 32 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah, I'll tell you what he's missing there, Scott. He's missing the shirt on the back of the chair to change into.
Yeah, and the hairbrush sitting on the bench nearby just for the quick brush of the hair, mock up. Perhaps just a quick scrub of the face. He's got a very, very quick turnaround post-checkered flag. The battle, I've been keeping an eye on this one. Eskandari is actually slowly bringing himself back into this battle for the lead group. I was watching Harrison Lillis. He was on the slide and on the angle with his Acura. So they're certainly trying to utilize the left rear tire out of these cars and save some of that left front. You've got to be a little bit careful because once you start to slide them and you start to overheat them, it gets better, but it does it at both axles.
Yeah.
Lockhart Brownlee's in the Chevy as well. So the big discussion at Orbit Drop Bear this week was who's driving what car, but it was also how many manufacturers can we get in the field. So there was a lot of discussion about everyone being in different cars with different strengths and different weaknesses. And I actually really, really love that because, again, it gives you, there's an Aston Martin in the field, there's a couple of Porsches, 3 Acuras inside the top 6. It's been a while since we've seen the Acura be strong. Ferraris, Lamborghinis. I mean, this is what it's all about, is all of these different marks, all of these different brands. It's not just Ford or Holden.
And now I'm going to turn around to you, Scott, and use the flip side of it as we focus 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for the moment. It's absolutely fantastic for a team to have so many different manufacturers to work with. The flip side, how much extra work are you seeing the team doing, having to put so many manufacturers in? Well,
one of the strengths and is that you get your own spin on every single setup, right? So everybody wants a car to drive a little bit in different manners. And anytime you see Harry driving a car, for example, he likes a car that really, really drives off the left rear. So anytime you see a setup and a car that drives that way, Harry will be very, very strong. You'll see Brad Ratu, for example, also likes that kind of car. And then you've got the weirdest man of the bunch, and that's probably Lockhart Brownlee. The main reason for that, he likes driving the LMP2. Nobody likes driving the LMP2, so we knew he was weird from the get-go. But again, Corvette, it rotates really, really nicely and then sets itself, but again, bumps our other Corvette's really, really biggest issue as Sean's getting a lot closer. So it's the biggest weakness is, like you said, all of a sudden, not only were we setting up Ferraris, we're setting up Acuras, we're setting up Lamborghinis, we're setting up McLarens. We're taking a lot of swings at the gavel, and the cars and the way that they respond to each of those different things are really, really different, but also the way they burn the fuel. Mustang, for example, as the fuel burns out of the Mustang, the rake in that car increases by 5 mil. Basically, as the fuel burns out of the rear end of the Mustang, the rear end lifts up by 5 mil. The Porsche, its fuel tank's in the front end of the car. So what happens is as the fuel burns out of that car, the front end actually lifts up in terms of the way that the aero profile is set. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt because as this battle's going on, we've had our first taker in the lane, which is Trent Allen.
I think that's just to get off sequence and off cycle, so he thinks it's definitely a 3-stopper. So he's split this one basically into 30-minute stints.
Interesting. So we'll see whether that pays off or not. Again, you can see very close to the grid and go blue and yellow there. Now Madeline McGee, she's going to be battling here for max push over through turn 4, watching with Aidan Rankin down into turn 5, sometimes known as Sayat Corner. And so you're looking for a way to get the best seat in the house. Pushes out wide, well over the curve. Still going to keep the foot in. Jason Wilkinson, wild ride it might be for these two in front, fighting it off into TV3. And the pass then is scored as safe for Aidan Rankin. Keeps that position. Lawford and Ryder also going for it behind. No rest out there. The AITX Revolution iRacing Audi back off and away again with a safe first stop.
Yeah, he gets that one done. Tristan McLaren's just made a mistake, and he's picked himself up a slowdown penalty at the back end of this battle pack as well in the McLaren. So, sorry, my apologies, the Ferrari. He's starting to struggle. Yeah, it's tricky at the moment. Like I said, those tyres are... And fuel levels are getting low as well. Think about that as the other side of the coin. Fuel levels are getting very, very low, and the problem with that, well, that's now lightness. And again, we're just talking about the difference in... And of course, when I'm talking about 5 mil difference in the Mustang, that's from the full 100-plus litre fuel tank all the way down to nothing.
Yeah, and so those differences are absolutely key in terms of what we're seeing here and how aggressive drivers have been to begin with, how aggressive drivers are not being at this moment. We know that Madeline, she's being aggressive because that's another soiree down to the inside with the side-by-side of Lawford getting it done on Jason Wilkinson. And how often do you look at going to the inside like this, offering that opportunity to say, I want to get through? The longer it doesn't work, the more disadvantaged you are trying to pass.
Yeah, for sure, because you're loading that tyre up and you're asking more of it to run a shallower angle. We're actually going to see Kane Ryder try and dive in and have a go at these guys at the back end of the pack. There's the mistake.
Somehow kept out of the wall there or scraped across it at the bare minimum. Madeline McGee has got away with that because that could have been a 3, 4, 5 car pile-up.
Yeah, that's actually quite well done by everyone in that group to prevent that from getting worse. So, again, here we go. Actually, we might be a change for the P2.
He's got a good run. Difference to being 3, 4 kilometers an hour, but he's lifting back out of it. I wonder whether he's gone into the fuel safe.
Well, he's got to. He's got to. So there's 2 ways to get this pass done. There's to get it done on the racetrack. Here comes another move as well, just in behind. I think that'll be Brownlee down the inside of Scordilis. So Scordilis' Mustang starting to struggle. I don't know if you've been sort of watching the OPR Mustangs as well, Sperry, but they've been struggling at the front end, I think, largely.
Yeah, they've been ploughing a bit through the corners, and so they'll be looking around going, where's my farmer's field? I'll tell you what, Scordilis isn't done. He's just chucked one straight back up for the inside at Lockhart Brownlee as we look at... I can't believe the graph's this big here, 31st down to 40th right now. There's nothing between. It's as if they haven't started. You know, it's like it's lap 1 for these drivers.
Mate, who cares? What race? This is the race. I'm happy to sit here and watch this for the rest of the night, you?
Yeah. Well, we don't like the leaders. We'll go back to P31, call them our winners. How about that? Well, Aidan Rankin right now. Well, we can watch them as well, bottom corner of your screen. But I'll tell you what, Scott, how apt is it that a Rankin is holding everybody up?
Oh, okay. All right, I'm done. Look, can I get my check? I need a new manager. They keep recruiting me to work with this sort of a commentary box. Look, Yeah, Aiden's struggling, certainly struggling. This is the issue with the Porsche at the moment. It's basically, it's 6 months ago gone from being the only car that we really saw at the Daytona 24 Hour. It was considered the bee's knees, the car that you absolutely wanted to be in. And at the moment, just with how the bop has swung, this is now the weakest car. You go back a couple months ago to the last major update. This car actually received a lot less drag at the back end of straights. It was the high downforce moments that they were trying to neutralize at the back end of this car. It was just a little bit too draggy. So what's happened to the car now is if we actually see any sort of rain race, this will be the car to be in. Other than that, you don't want to really touch the thing. It's quite difficult to get speed out of at this point in time. And some of that goes back to, remember we were talking about rake and just everything that's going on at the front end of these race cars. So, you know, balance is a massive part.
Kobe Williams then in at 38 minutes. He's followed in by William Morgan. Then over at Pacific. So the captain will say his ship is going to be into dock early at this moment. Scordilis not giving up here against Lockhart Brownlee as Simon Mizimo also into the pit lane and looking to make service happen. We focus on Lockhart Brownlee, still having to navigate through here all of these corners in the middle sector of this circuit of Barcelona. Really does open your eyes in terms of how you need to set a car up properly, because you've got a case of, okay, you think it's only medium speed corners, but it gives you almost every profile.
Yeah, it does. And you've got to have a car that rotates well at different sections of the racetrack. You've got to have enough downforce on it so the rear end just doesn't chuck itself away every time you tip it.
Bennett stopped on the main straight. They're going to have to throw a safety car. Corey Bennett is stopped on the main straight. They must throw a safety car.
Oh, this is in a really horrible spot. Absolutely. So, is there no, front right's off the car.
Safety car's going to be deployed.
Has to be.
Wow. That is a massive accident, and I'm not sure what's happened. We got cars chucking themselves into the pits, some staying out. Bennett has got drive of it and is trying to get it off the racing surface and into a safer position next to the barriers, but that Acura surely is going to see everybody now jumping.
It's a pit lane entry. He's going to enter pit lane, and he's got to slide on halfway through, and the car's he's just had to bail. He's had to bail, and he's been collected by multiple cars.
Wow. You can see everybody is seeing that, and they would have got word through their spotters or other drivers that they're working with. Here's a look at it. He goes it. Oh, catch your tank slap, and then bang! He gets right into the side of one of the Ferraris out there. The Mustang gets deposited, and then bang, there's another hit that goes through for one of the Max Boost Ferraris. Then it comes through. Safety car is deployed.
As it has to be. That car is just in a position where you just cannot rescue that thing whatsoever. I got to be honest with you, though, this will lock everyone into the two-stop strategy, I think, from here. The only guys that are punished are the guys that actually already pit. And I got to be honest, if I'm these drivers at this point in time, I'm taking 4 tyres. And the reason I'm taking 4 tyres, I think I can do an hour and 20 minutes on another set of tyres. I would much rather pay my tyre penalty now, have the field condense, and then go back racing, than trying to pay my tyre penalty later on. Somebody from this front 3 will not do that. I got to be honest with you, I think it's Rattray White. I think Zach Rattray White doesn't take any tyres here. I think the other 2 will.
All right, in comes Damon Woods then to make his stop, and staying out then will be the likes of those around. So they also come in and say, right, we're going to play this strategy game. We've got an hour 20 to go. It falls in our window at the moment of 40, 40 and 40. So I think if you're staying out there at this moment and you haven't made your stop, this is the perfect time, right on the pit stop window as they go through, as they now look to go all the way down to the very end. So they are now going to be looking at this as a massive case of everybody try and chase around at this stage. There's also another car stopped out there, which is the safety car, which is waiting to pick up Damon Woods, who would be your race leader, depending on the stops here. So still trying to wait to see who cycles through as race lead.
Sebastian Eskandari, this is actually critical for his race, is he's desperately trying to gain speed and leverage a quick pit stop to push himself ahead. But the problem is Brendan Purcell's just ahead of him. I think he's actually taken a full 4-tyre pit stop. Eskandari just had the lead.
Eskandari's going to be your new leader. He's got ahead here of Damon Woods and Sean Campbell because they're all taking full service.
I think that's 4 tyres from a lot of them there too. I tell you what, I tell you who else is actually not taking tyres, has been Danny Davison. What about Rattray White?
Yeah, so Zach Rattray White there has lost out in the stop. He's slightly longer by the looks of things than Sean Campbell, so that's going to really hurt him in terms of how he's gone about business. So this will now be the field cycled on into play. Eskandari is your leader here behind the Aston Martin safety car, GT3 safety car that is out there and is beautiful here in the Premier Endurance League to be in show. The Sudspeed safety car in its full guise out there, and now is looking around at this saying, guess what? We're going to be in for an absolute treat. So Eskandari now the jump over Damon Woods in the Ferrari. Danny Davidson on 2 tyres up to 3rd. It's then Sean Campbell and Zach Rattray White 4th and 5th, with Kalen Williams 6th. Lewis Greathead now up into 7th position, with Harrison Lillis in 8th. Lockhart Brownlee 9th. And Andrew Scordilis, who is rounding out your top 10. Scott, you've taken a little understanding of getting into the comms, and I believe you found Angus Lawford.
I have. I've grabbed Angus because he's obviously not had the way that his race necessarily want to start. I want to take you all the way back to, you probably don't want to remember this, but I just wanted to grab some insight from you at turn 11 on that first lap. Was that a snap, or the car just a little bit too hot on cold tyres? Just where was the mistake at that point in time, do you reckon?
Unfortunately, it was neither. Car in front had cut the previous corner, and he was in my line for the next one. So I'm not sure if he was slowing for a slowdown or trying to clean off his tyres, but it slowed up the lane that I was in, and I had a car on my inside. I didn't call the incident in because I was not too sure whether I came across on the car on my right, but we made contact, and it flicked my car sideways, and it's tank slap to the left, so
I got
a bit unlucky.
Again. I'd say it'd be net code because there was a little bit of room between the two cars. That's unlucky because, okay, so the next step out of that is, obviously I know what you're like in terms of driving. That would have been thrown out the window immediately and back on what's the opportunity. Things have not necessarily been great to start the race off, but you're working your way back through. Was that a 4-tyre, a no-tyre, or a 2-tyre pit stop? Talk me through the strategy to get yourself back through the field.
Well, we had a strategy coming in for the first stop, but as soon as the safety car got called, we figured it was 4 tyres. It's definitely the easiest time to take all 4 because you've got the entire pit safety car to warm the tyres up, and regardless if we took 2 or none, we would have still had cold tyres behind the safety car. So we just figured it's best to take the extra rubber for near the end of the race and go from there.
Mate, in terms of what will happen, because there's obviously going to be one more pit stop for sure now with this safety car just to shorten things here in this middle of the race. Does that mean your strategy for the final pit stop is what, left-hand sides only, or potentially none? Are you still thinking, I'm guessing the debate is going to be at the back end of the stint, how's the car still performing?
Yeah, right now it's completely to do with how the car feels. If we feel like we're losing a little too much grip on the left-hand sides, we may take lefts, and also it depends on how our cars are handling into the slow corners of turn 5 and turn 10 as well. So we may take 2, we may take 4, but if the car's feeling right, we may not even take tyres. So we'll have to play it by ear and see how the car's feeling at the end of this next run and go from there.
Mate, you'll have an exciting opportunity to go aggressive. Just got the word that safety car is going to be going green at the end of this lap. Teammate just ahead of you, is it going to be working with him, or is it going to be, hey Jordan, get the out of my way?
No, we've been working well together. Like all the teammates that I've come up to, we've just said get into the rhythm, and they've told me when to pass, and I've obliged. But now we're getting to the more feisty end of the field. We might just try and keep it to racing, and if there's any mistakes, then I'll probably be like, hey buddy, can I go have a go?
Safety car's pulling away. We'll leave you with it, mate. Get the head back down. Better get back in there and tell your entire team you said nasty things about you, so Jordan blocks you for the rest of the race, mate. Have fun.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Jordan,
that's
terrible
right.
guy, yeah. All
right, guys, have a good one.
I know I can rough him up. That's why I have a chat with him. Same way I can rough you up, Sperry. I'm going to sit on what you said earlier. I owe you one. So, take that and pay it back double. I think it's how we work with it.
Well, Sebastian Eskandari in control. There's Damon Woods, all in white there in second position. He's looking to be aggro off the start. Eskandari is someone who does not give quarter. He's only 14 years of age. He's actually got an F4 test in the real world coming up this month, so he's certainly going to be someone eyeing up a great result out there, but he knows he's up against one of the very best, the #1 car of Damon Woods directly behind, knowing that he's got Danny Davidson there, Sean Campbell, Zach Rattray-White and Kalen Williams, who can all pick up something as they go. Final corner launch it is going to be, I would say, a traditional launching point there for Eskandari. That will cover off his line quite nicely as we go to the restart with an hour 12 and 25 left on the clock. And look at Eskandari on this restart, looking to try and weave and get tyre temp.
Yeah, but the big thing is, have a look at Damon Woods in behind him, not doing that. He knows that he's got 4 fresh Pirellis on. He knows that he has got 4 pieces of rubber that are not going to deny him in terms of maximum grip over this next stint. There's probably in the realm of 20 to 25% of tyre taken out for some of these guys in the field. It's time to put the foot down and get aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Eli Donaldson there in the number 28, looking like he's going to get himself 218. Sorry, looking really busy there with Alexander Barrelon there on the inside into Repsol at turn 4. Looking to climb. There's the stop times, 27.4 only. Oh, you can't get much closer on a run. Danny Davison, I think, just lost out not just 2 spots, but 3 spots there as he's side by side with Kalen Williamson. He's had himself then troubles as he's lost 1 place into 4, and then he's had a tag in the side there with Zach Rattray-White.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I think Rattray-White got into him. I think Rattray-White's coming will be, look, it was coming down on the way through, but the problem will be, was he deserved, was he owed corner rights? We've got a mixed field at this point in time. Lewis Greathead's grabbed some track position again. Another one of those drivers who didn't take tyres at that most recent pit stop. He's going to be vulnerable in this next section of the race. Danny Davison is a sinking stone right now as he's going side by side with Harrison Lewis.
Well, Harrison Lillis isn't going to get it down to Lekaiksa, but the tyres are going to step out. Danny Davison comes across the circuit, bang! Big hit there for William Morgan, and the next group now is going to suddenly go slow, and they will scatter off the sinking ship. There's another big dive to the inside. Morgan's pushed out wide, and one of the cars there, Barrelon, ends up having to skitter across the gravel. Barrelon are very much trying to avoid it. Morgan, if he can't get it back across the circuit, he's going to have to wait. We might see back-to-back safety cars. I think he now can get it to pit lane as the leading duo remain as they are. Yeah,
and the Dylan Shepherd race continues to be one of aggression. He was a little bit of contact, a little bit of leaning on Richard Mitchum. That's not the first time that's happened between those two tonight either. So they were having another stoush, and I guarantee they'll be looking for each other after the race, or at least Richard Mitchum will be looking for Shepherd, that much is for sure.
Well, I think you'd turn around. That's one of the Vermilion cars. It's Lewis Greathead there, and it's those 2 tyre callers who are finding out that turn 3 is not a place for it. He tried desperately to hold on to it, and bang, in the wall he went. Lead change though. Damon Woods through at 5.
It's not working out for all those guys that've taken tyres. Sorry, not taken tyres at this point in time. The track is just way too hot for it. So this is the replay. He just got him. Just warm the tyres up gently, got him to a position where they're okay. And whether or not Eskandari, without weaving on the main straight, if he just superheated them just a little bit. But have a look at Sean Campbell as well. Gets a little bit closer. Well, he's cleared Rattray-White now. That's not a problem. That problem's in his rearview mirror. And the big thing was, remember back at quali, it was the other side of 50 degrees Celsius. Now, you're asking a lot of these tyres in these track temperatures at this location. A week ago, Limited was more than 10 degrees Celsius cooler. More than. It is going to cool down as this day goes on. We are just before 5 p.m. local time, but tyre temperature and looking after them in these weather conditions is the tricky part tonight.
Well, Eskandari already dropping back 0.7 of a second. We take a look at the Danny Davidson incident as now in the bottom right corner, Sean Campbell goes for it. So he gets out in the gravel, and I wonder whether he's got a little bit loose there as he's pushed in. He's just over-committed into the corner. Doesn't really get that much help, but as he comes back across, bang! Nowhere for the Aston Martin to go. Then everyone has to scarper around.
Yeah. And like you said, it's just, but did you see the dive?
Yes.
Did you see the dive? I'm not happy with that. That was 3 wide effectively into that corner, and the car that was on the inside drove it like there was no one on his outside, let alone one car.
Miles Burgess will get his second penalty of the day, this time for 5 seconds worth, as Nick Wood here in the Canier Racing Vodafone McLaren colours out there at the moment is trying to work himself up. He's getting a little bit too chipper here as one of the Audis goes wide. look at it. It's rush hour leaving Brisbane.
Yeah, this is not easy. This is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Remember what our first safety car restart looked like, and now it's just more of the same. Have a look at them all packed up. Gus has picked off a couple spots. He restarted 35th, so he's picked off 4 spots. I think that's his teammate, Mazzaroli, that's followed him through and behind as well.
Yep, so they're all there, they're all in line, and suddenly you've got to start wondering here. Angus Lawford is in the midst of all of this. It's Chris Taylor having to go to the fences here. Kane Ryder wants to move to the inside then as he dispatches of Josh Holmes then for position. He's now got Curtis Bird just in front that he's going to want to get by. Chris Taylor there as well. Then you've got Mark Hilly there, Brock Cadday, Joel Janssens, Madeline McGee. She's trying to get through all of this as well. This is wake up, smell the coffee stuff. If you're not woken up in a group like this, I tell you what, you will be after a lap trying to work out where you are.
Yeah, so settle yourself in. Take your breath once this restart has sort of come full circle. And for Eskandari, this is not the first time he's duked it out with a few of these cars. Cast your mind back to Porsche Cup Pro a couple of weeks ago at Zandvoort. He was happy to lead laps on that occasion, happy to duke it out with the guys up front, also traded a fair bit of pain as well. Sim racing, real world racing, they are similar, but there is some different elements, and you have to earn your place among respect in that top group.
You really do, and that respect is earned, and the fact that he had to come in before the safety car came out is now going to put him on the back foot strategy-wise. Trent Allen here in 31st position right now is hoping that his day can be one where he can start winning up to this group. And this group, as the lunge comes down the inside from Greg Cook, getting the pass done on Trent there. Nice pass to get that one all sorted out. This train goes all the way to the... Whoa, you can't get that much of a slide on there just in front to go through. They're stuck, all of them, again here, Scott, behind Aidan Rankin.
I take no credit for sharing your last name with him, absolutely no credit. So this is going to be an interesting one yet again. Just the raw number of cars. Have a look at the cars that are actually just up ahead of this one as well. Is everyone, admittedly, there is a restart that's just happened, and everyone's chalked up at this point in time. And the other thing I think that's worthwhile pointing out is there's a ton of guys in this specific.
Oh, he's lost the place. He very nearly spun the car there. This is getting really chippy, and now Mesimo wants in. Danny Davidson is back here trying to get back through.
Yeah, well, after that spin. So the big thing is Aidan Rankin, no tyres at that last pit stop. No tyres. So 28 seconds really was the amount of fuel that you needed to add to this car. Mazzomo's right behind him at this point in time. He's taken 4 tyres. He was struggling towards the back end of that stint. He absolutely needed to take tyres. Danny Davison, no tyres at that most recent pit stop. So there's a few of them in and amongst these guys. Trent Allen is the other one who also did not take tyres. Remember, he was the early pitter as well.
Yeah, so he was the first of anyone. He's going to probably be on a 3-stop strategy here, and he's completely behind the ball. And now Davison, struggling out of 3, is going to be under threat here from some Project 36s in her line. Lawford, Mazzaroli and Cook. You couldn't have coordinated this better right now. All aboard the Express.
Yeah, try and line them up. And the big thing is when your teammate opens that door, you've got to try and follow them on through. A couple Lamborghinis working together as well. Lawford's finally got the head of the Project 36 train, and he's going to be looking at the next car, which will be Nick Wood. So, Nick, don't pay any attention to that rearview mirror, mate. I think that is a fired-up Angus Lawford at the moment.
Behind Greg Cook, Chris Taylor trying to get by Trent Allen, Kane Ryder through on Curtis Bird, Mark Healy, Josh Holmes. They're all there, they're all busy. They're all saying, look, I want these places, I want these opportunities. There's going to be moves aplenty here on the brakes. Mazzaroli then getting through on Danny Davidson now, who's still going backwards. Then even this far back shows you just how much pace there is in the field. This is getting very, very aggressive here. And we're just about ready to say we're halfway.
Yeah, coming up on that window as well. And the other thing is...
look at Williams.
It's just come down a little bit.
A tiny tag with Eskandari, who was pushing to the nth degree to try and defend it. This is what we call getting stuck in the rose bush here, because it's going to be prickly to get yourself out. Now the ODBM Express wants to get through. Williams on the turn, looks to cut back. Big old block. Don't put those blocks with an hour to go. That's a little too aggressive. That's the open formula mine rather than a GT mind out there on defence, and it's only going to bite you with this long left in the race.
And the big thing for Caleb Williams is this is an Acura, not a BMW. He's used to getting around in an M4 GT3. He's just come back from the Spa 24 hours. And the big thing is, take a look at that webcam, Sperry. This guy, opposite side of the world, not an Aussie. He's in your domain.
Well, he is in our domain. He's going to get fed a wheel. There is Eskandari as Harrison Lillard says, no, you're going to take the slowdown. Lockhart Brownlee gets through. Andrew Scordilis is trying to push through, and behind that, Lachlan Capel a little slow, which puts Byron Pierce into position then on the outside on the run to Lukaitis at turn 10. 2 by 2 they're going to go through. Good lunge by Scordilis. That gets the pass. Stuck on the outside, Byron Pierce. He can't quite get the run, and he also can't quite get back into line for William Sapstead wanting in.
And again, this is chess, really, at this point in time. The best way to defend is actually to try and have a go at the guy ahead. The problem is, if you're trying to overtake and you can't get it done, you're vulnerable because you're not taking the best line through the corner at this point in time. These guys, again, look at the cars that can and can't take that curb. It is an extra couple of meters at the final corner. Watch this for the Corvette.
Oh, all 4 wheels leave the ground, and he has gone skyward. And somehow Lockhart Brownlee is still able to get there. I tell you what, if you do an endo like that on something like that, you've got to go and get style points.
Yeah, you do, but you know what's the best way to look after your tyres is? You can't do damage to them before forward and in the air.
No, you do make a fair point. But how much do you damage them when you land?
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? They cool off, they're shooting through raw air. If you want to get air to the tyres and airflow to the underside of the car, well, that's one way to do it. Unfortunately, the downside is the landing on the other side. Mate, I rode a Pee-wee 50 when I was a kid. That's a motorbike with no suspension. It is not a comfy landing, I can tell you that much.
No, very much not. Eli Donaldson then gets overtaken by Dylan Shepherd, and just behind that is Marina Morella trying to get in. He has dispatched the group that contains Richard Mitchum in there, and I'm sure Dylan Shepherd will be looking around after today and going, well, Rich Mitch, you're a very nice man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I just don't know how much those guys down the road to the tune of 1.3 seconds for the race lead. This is going to go on yet again for Kobe.
Remember, Dean Mackay spun around on the opening corner of this race, and he has fought his way back to 16th with this pass. Still not confirmed. He's got to do well here through Bank Sabadell. Now it's confirmed.
Yeah. Look at the amount of gravel that's just lurking just off the racing line at this point in time. That was a nose being shown by Kobe Williams, known as Cobb by his friends. And the tricky part is Mackay's just got so much front end on that car, whereas the Ferrari it feels very, very heavy in the steering column. A lot of these cars have got a different feel, and certainly the way that they rock the weight about. But the Ferrari, it just feels heavy. It honestly feels like it's more of like a NASCAR weighted in the front end, but it also tends to really like high downforce. Getting it to want to wander a little bit on the rear end is half the secret to getting that car to perform quite well.
It very much will be, so we'll keep a very close mind on what will be as far as they all go. Still busy behind Aidan Rankin here, who has just seen Angus Lawford go through. Now Mattaroli and Cook want in. Taylor, Ryder, Allen, Holmes, Bird, Cadet. They're all trying to turn around and say, I want it. Mark Hilly in for a second stop then of this race. To the outside it will be, and more chances to overtake. It's going to be a case now of Chris Taylor working the long line at the Mustang, and everyone was turning around, I think, at the start of this season here and saying, well, Scott, it's the Mustang, it's the Mustang. Chris Taylor clearly busy for the meeting right now. He realises, oh wait, I haven't written my notes up. Yeah,
he's looking a little bit left, a little bit right as well. Look at the eyes. And the big thing is, with a camera that's directly in front of you like this, and this is actually a conversation I was actually having with Tristan McLaren the other day, is one of the cool things about sim racing is you get to see underneath the helmet, you get to see exactly what they're doing. So again, just a little bit of a hunker down and adjuster that he's uncomfortable in the way that he's driving at the moment, is him shifting in that seat. He needs to adjust something about what he's feeling in the race car, is what I'm seeing from that one as well. But the eyes, they were wide. He was wide-eyed. But there wasn't a lot of panic, a lot of expression on that one as well. There's lots of arm and wrist work, lots of feeding it in. And actually, Spiro, go back to the conversation that I had, I reckon about a month and a half ago. You said actually to me at the time, I think you're using too much input in your steering wheel. You definitely can do that. Thanks for that adjustment. Adjust the steering wheel, turn that force feedback down. It's amazing what you can feel and the different bits and pieces you can feel when you're using the equipment that's in front of you properly.
I believe the words I used were, I've never seen a driver make driving look so difficult. But we'll go with that then. That's a much nicer way of doing it. Thanks, Scott. Richard Mitchum then in the Ferrari 22nd. Actually, I'd love to go on board with Rich for a moment, just to get you the understanding of what you were talking about that Ferrari, how I think it's drive different, built different to every other GT3. I think it's a GT3 that tries to be built a little bit more like a prototype.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's a little bit wider in terms of the rear end. Have a look at the narrowness of the Corvette. It's actually just ahead of it as well. It feels that little bit narrower, and have a look at the way that it's sort of low slung as well. As the Corvette is a little bit more boxy, but it's still got that arrow style set up to it. This is, of course, the Ferrari 296 as it was released in this trim that won Nürburgring 24-hour. Since then, in 2026, it's received an Evo package, a slight rebuild of some of the straights around the left and right front end, and that's the Richard Mitchum that's saving a little bit of tyre and a little bit of fuel at this point in time as well. But the layout as well, you've got a little bit of that netting. This is to prevent you from in an accident. Don't want to be bobbling about in the car and smashing into little bits and pieces. The wheel well and the cockpit are actually designed to keep your legs as narrow in as well. I actually saw the aftermath of the Ferrari 296 challenge car. Not this one, obviously GT3, a little bit more downforce, that had a brake failure at the Bongsen Street Circuit back in 2025. The driver, yeah, his legs were a little bit shattered, but he walked away okay. And some of that is some of the features that you see in and around this. Release points for a whole bunch of little bits and pieces. That netting actually saved the driver from flopping about in the car if the belts had broken and other bits and pieces as well. But it's all the elements that sort of come together. And if you go and actually have a look at, I was looking across the Spa 24-hour IRL weekend, not the sim stuff this year, which tuned me into the front end. Have a look at, see all the strakes on the front end, all the little winglets at the left and right front corner. The 296 Evo package actually doesn't have as many of those, but the front end redesign is on those corners to make the car not necessarily need them.
Yeah, so that makes differences as we got the drop bear train there in fifth, and now Marino Morella trying to move forward against Eskandari out there at the moment. There is a 5-second penalty that's come the way of Alexander Barallon, so he's ended up with that in his regard. Eskandari is the one having to defend, and at the moment I think he realizes here he's on the back foot all the way down now to 12th place. This is what we call wrong place, wrong time, and it is the wrong Motorsport Sim World car that he's battling with at the moment.
Yeah, look after yourself at this point in time is what I'd sort of be saying. Make sure that we're getting on down the road, looking after the race car and doing whatever we possibly can. And also think for Eskandari as well, he pitted the lap before that safety car as well. So he was stuck and he'd already committed to not taking tyres. If that safety car had come out one lap earlier, he would have taken tyres with the rest of them. Something such happened to Aiden Rankin, I think.
Yeah, that won't be good if it has, and so he's going to be looking back. Trust you to be straight on the marks then as Morella goes to the outside and gets the pass done. The Acura loses out, and now it's Eli Donaldson who wants to start closing down the margin more and more. And Aiden Rankin has dropped a couple places here on this lap. There's not much that he's been able to do. In fact, he did have door-to-door contact with Jordan Mazzaroli at Lekikes at turn 10, just said, bump, straight out the way you go. And here's the problem with a massive group like this. It's what we call the freight train, Scott.
Yeah, once you get out of rhythm and there's a guy to your inside, there's generally going to be another guy that's looking to try and line you up and have a crack at the same time. And again, Aiden Rankin a little bit into the rear bumper, and well, that Project 36 cars had to grab the anchors on the way down in there as well, just to try and drop back into line.
Rocade getting the pass done. Here's another look at it here. Bottom corner, he scores a replay, just gets in the door and says, right, you're going to bounce off me like a prop.
Yeah, look, sometimes when you're the cork in the bottle, there comes a point in time where people just run out of patience, and one of the things they'll do when they run out of patience is a little bit of an elbow on the way through just to confirm it. So you end up, just in a bad spot, and he is in a bad spot at this point in time. Those tyres are hurting.
They are, and they're hurting a lot. And just a reminder for you, ladies and gentlemen, we're on 9.97k subscribers here on SimSpeed TV. So if we could just get 30 of you to just go like it, we'll be in the 10,000 club. That'll be absolutely great. If you could all subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. Aiden Rank in 34th position and falling backwards here as Curtis Bird is out there. So we'll take another little look here at something that's coming up between Morella and Eskandari. So Eskandari looked like he was trying to come back then as we catch this on the Scorsa replay. This is turn 5, lunges back down for the inside. Morella leaves half the room, and Eskandari, oh, that's brave. That's leaning a bit. That's touring style of a pass.
Well, he's been lent on and lent on and lent on, and eventually the kid cracked, and he's given some back. And part of what you do when you get to this level of racing as well is these guys will test you. If they can lean on you and put contact on you and you can't respond, they've won. Because then they're in your headspace and they're just leaning and squabbling and picking on you the whole time. Sometimes you just coming back at them and just leaning on them a little bit, well, they won't do it as much because they know that you will give as good as you got.
Maddie McGee, she's trying to give as good as she's got at the moment. She's right in the midst of this group as well here in 36th position with in front of her Curtis Bird side by side with Aiden Rankin. It's again car in the lane going to try and get this by Aiden Rankin. This would be my worst nightmare as a driver as William Morgan comes in again. Would be constantly having to defend and losing, defend and losing, defend and losing.
Yeah. Tricky, very, very tricky as well. A couple of thoughts for Tristan McLaren, who's a little bit out of sequence as well. I think he's actually come back down to pit lane for something else, and now he's hanging off the back end of the race. The track, fortunately for him, has just not necessarily gone right. Jason Wilkinson's another driver who's also just not necessarily had things go his way. He's been falling back down through the pack. I mean, the drive back from Dean Mackay, you just sort of look at it and go, I wonder what would have happened if he would have been back at the pointy end of things all night long. If he hadn't gotten involved in everything on lap 1, that would have presented an opportunity to potentially be in the top 5 and fighting for that podium. It's so difficult to get the pointy end of things. And Dean, when you have a look at the progress of Dean and Zach Rattray White, Damon Woods has always been quick for a long period of time. It's just sort of, you know, he's been out there, he's been quick, he's been just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. But if you have a look at Rattray White and Mackay, over the last few seasons, over the last sort of, for Rattray White for about 4 years, he's dragged himself up. Dean Mackay's time period has been a little bit shorter, but he's come... Oh, actually, I might have just put the markers on Dean Mackay.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. That's Dean Mackay at turn 5, skittering through, losing 6 places for his troubles. And One Performance Racing, I think the story of their day is, well, if they haven't been involved in something, they've been having spins and the like pretty much everywhere. That's a real shame for Dean and the way that came about, because he was getting really close to the back of Dan Yeaman, and Dan has just got himself a bulletproof behind is the best way to say it, because Dean went into his backside and bounced straight off.
Oh, but again, that's OPI, the Mustangs, they're out braking. So if you have a look at all the incidents, so what we were talking about with Shepard earlier, and I was trying to say, I think there's something else there, right? Either it was Mitchum or the cars that were actually ahead of them. They're on the anchors so much earlier than the Mustangs from One Performance Racing. And that from Dean Mackay also tends to show that. He's into the brakes later and harder, so he's asking a lot more from the car and the ability to pull it up. He's been doing quite well with that. That's how he's actually been clearing cars. But you see that. I think he's actually hit the brakes pretty well at a normal point for him. It's just that the other cars, the way that they're braking the car and turning in is just different, and it's catching him off guard a little bit, because that's nearly identical to what happened to Shepard earlier on in the race.
Yeah, and it might be a Mustang thing where if they are getting loose on the front and you take the air away on contact, there's not much that you can do about it. Miles Burgess currently in a bit of a scrap right now. He's looking for a way past Kobe Williams. This would be for now 16th and 17th positions. No looking at turn 5, but a chance to push out. Gap last time over the line for the lead though, Scott, 2 seconds now for David Woods and Sean Campbell. Sean's not being driven away from, but he's being inched away from.
But that's how it gets done at the top level. You're never going to crack a guy. Oh, yep, 718, so that's Kane Ryder. Gets 5 seconds worth of time penalty. I did just see another... Marino Morella's just picked himself up a slowdown penalty on this lap, and I think it's in this group as well. I know it's just ahead of these guys. So the thing is, at the top echelon of things, last time by was a difference of 1.5 tenths that Damon Woods was quicker. This time by it was got it back to about a tenth of a second. So it's only 10, but over 10 laps, that's a second. And that's sort of the tale of what Damon Woods has been putting together at this point in time. The other benefit is that Sean Campbell got held up in traffic a little bit longer as well.
Yeah, makes a big factor. Jordan Mazzaroli is going to get 5 seconds worth of penalty in the back pocket as well. Another driver who gets caught out in that way. Eskandari about to lose a position on the main straight and into turn 1 and has done. Eli Donaldson finally has got that move sorted. And Eli started 27th. He is up 14 spots now into that 13th place. And I think he's driven absolutely wonderfully here, Scott.
Yeah, he's doing, like I said, talking to him early on, and he wasn't feeling all that confident. Well, the race has swung around in a different direction, and he is feeling confident at this point in time. But the critical factor as well is that also sets of tyres at every pit stop. He's just cleared Eskandari, so the strategy for Eskandari has not necessarily worked out. The other problem that Eskandari's got is the amount of fuel that he might have to save relative to everyone else. And, well, Aidan Rankin, mate, hand that guy a ministership, because he is certainly becoming the minister for defence the way this is going.
Yeah, certainly starting that way, but I don't think he's doing a good job because he keeps losing spots. So that's Joel Jansen. Oh, Maddie! She looks aggressive for the inside there with Jaden Green trying to get on in, and now she's going to get the elbows out. That's almost karting style, the way that she's driving here is Maddie, because she's not afraid to send a move, and she's not afraid to get the elbows out, and then almost gets run up from behind there, losing all the spots is Trent Allen in the Audi.
Yeah, and he had his nose chopped a little bit and stuff as well, but he managed to walk a little bit wide and cover himself.
Oh, Eskandari for 5 there, Scott.
Yeah, that was from lap 35, so that was about... sorry, my apologies, it was with Marino Morello. Right? Remember how I said Marino Morello had that slowed down that run wide? Yeah, so a little bit of a helping hand.
Change at turn 1 as well, as Scorsa has now lost the place to Byron Pierce. So that group's also starting to get a little bit more busy here. It looked like it was going to be these 3 on their own out there of Brown, Lockhart Brown and Caleb Williams and Cable. So obviously Harrison Lillis has just checked out and gone goodbye, but now the group's starting to form up here with the likes of Shepherd, Sapstead, Scorsa, Pierce, Cable. I would be very scared to see Dylan Shepherd on the back, and Dylan Shepherd right now with 35 seconds worth of penalty added on. He would be at 52 seconds right now. He'd be classed as behind Brock Cadday in 33rd place.
Yeah, and if I'm talking and communicating with a bunch of these guys, I know that car 143 has picked up a plethora of penalties as well. So it just says, if that guy shows up on scene and there's going to be a fight, a squabble for the position, just lay your shields down early. You lose more time fighting the guy than you do by racing him, and you know that he's going to finish behind you no matter what. So realistically, if you are driving to a strategy, you're driving to a plan, there could be a touch worth of fuel saving required, there could be a touch worth of tyre saving that's required, and he's in the way of that plan. Eliminate him from the way of that plan. Just don't factor him in. He's not a factor to your race, and that's the smarts, and that's what having a big team and a communicative team is all about, this element of time.
Now you say that, Damon Woods has just put the fastest lap of the race down at a 1:41.1. I think he's pushing because, if we're being completely honest about this, Scott, this race has flown by. I would say we're 5 minutes away from final pit stop window opening.
Yeah, and the middle window of this race is going to be the longest one, and the reason it's going to be the longest one is that safety car just fell in the water. Eskandari, for me, is in a little bit of anyone that pits fractionally earlier, and there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think it's Premier Endurance League. I think it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Spain. Yeah.
And we are seeing some absolutely wonderful tricks there. Miles Burgess, then another one going through. He's fighting with Barrelon for placement here as Demon Tiger for another safe re-entry. So that's going to be another car that's going to have to be a little bit more on the careful side of things for 413 on the back of this train right now, with Harald Stadler and Ethan Bass and Alexander Barrelon, Burgess, Kobe Williams. Haven't really talked much about those international drivers at OBDM here, Scott. The fact that Bass and Stadler have basically found themselves happy. They're pretty much sitting on the back of this train like Stadler and Waldorf.
Yeah, I got the opportunity actually to drive alongside of Harald Stadler during the Majors 24-hour event. Very quiet, very unassuming, got an interesting sense of humour, and his accent's absolutely gorgeous, that Austrian-German accent. Really, really interesting. He's had an opportunity to obviously witness a lot more of the racetracks in Europe than are necessarily available to us over here in the baked country, the sun-baked country, if you will. Even though at the moment Europe's significantly hotter than it's been for a fair while, we're getting a taste of the Australian conditions, and I guess that's what's being replicated on the racetrack out there at the moment. By the way, track temps now come down to 40 degrees Celsius, so it's now about 15 degrees or 13 to 15 degrees cooler than it was during qualifying. It is coming down, but it's not at a rapid rate of knots. I reckon by the time this finishes, we'll be about 37.
Yeah, I think you'd be right about that. It's not going to be major in terms of the factor, but it is still putting a presence out there, as is the easterly wind conditions through at 14 kilometers an hour. It's not much, it's gusting about a little bit, and we are in the middle of the mountains here over the top of Spain. The Volta of Catalonia is huge in terms of what it does for cycling. We started the Tour de France in Barcelona this year, so it is a big hilly region where you get a lot of areas of this country to go, or this area of Catalonia to go. Yeah, put yourself a racetrack on the top of the mountain. It's going to be a bit windy. It is going to buckle the cars about a bit.
And just to give you some perspective, that wind is basically a left to right inside the cockpit, crosswind down the main straight. So it's sort of blowing you across into turn one and helping you, but you get to the apex and you tip in at turn one, and all of a sudden all the downforce comes off the car because it's a tailwind at that point. So thinking in terms of these cars do feel the effects of that wind, and a 15 kilometer an hour wind is not a mild wind. It's a pretty reasonable wind, but it's also not hurricane force at the same time. So what's going on is basically when you get into turn one, you're experiencing the car being sort of pushed into the apex from left to right as you tip in. You get to the apex of the corner and you start to pick the throttle back up again, you'll have the least downforce because the wind is basically being pushed at your back, your rear wing. The more, when it's a headwind, you're basically driving directly into the wind. That'll glue the car down to the racetrack more. So it's a little bit of a headwind basically halfway through this last corner, and then it becomes a crosswind as you get onto the main straight again as well. So that does move the cars in a little bit. It'll also affect the dynamic of the way that the car, you see a lot of cars lowering down at turn 10, particularly when they get back to the throttle pedal at turn 10 and turn 11. And basically it's nearly a 30-degree right to left headwind at the entry to turn 10, which is the hairpin. So
Eskandari sees another one go away. This time it's Dan Yeaman who's gone through. Now Sapstead versus Shepherd. How much credence is going to be here in this? Dylan is so much later on the break. Look at him. He just pushes Mustang as he goes through turn 5. I think he is desperate for the way to jump on through. And actually something we haven't had a chance to talk about here in this race is the fact that there is one fast repair available, Scott.
Yeah, so if you have a bad race, your opening sector to the race doesn't necessarily work out all that well, then you can just quite quickly take a little bit of damage repair in the middle of the car, and that means that you can use a little bit more aggression. You can see Dylan Shepherd with all the contact and stuff that he's had. It would have been damaged at the front end of his Mustang with the way that the front bumper's been used, elected to take the fast repair. That's a risk. If there's something else that happens for the remainder of the race, unfortunately, there's not much more he can really do. He's stuck with that to the end of the race. But you see the lights being flashed. He is in an aggressive frame of mind. I've got to be honest, though, car 143 tends to be an aggressive frame of mind most. There you go, first pit stop.
And was that the I'm going to make you pit lights there from Dylan Shepherd as William Sapstead decides that he's going to come in, get his final service done? I really like that. Aggressive car behind, get your service done, and just wait it out till the end of the race. I like it.
Yeah, it's one way of dealing with the problem, certainly, isn't it? There was a slowdown penalty for Alexander Barrelon as well, who's barreled on down into pit lane. Car 560 starting to come across both of these guys. This is Capel's attack at teammate Lockhart Brownlee. He'll get to the inside, and then Byron's certainly going to be like, well, there's an opportunity for something here. What can I take with me?
Byron Pierce is like a sniffer dog. He just does not look around and go, I'm not going to sit back on this. I'm just going to look for this one, look for this one. Look,
he got him.
Look for that turn. Lockhart Brownlee dumped into the outside wall.
Well, where did that one come from? And Team Akai's actually just gone around at the same time. That
Incredible.
one, yeah. Yeah, there's a fair few bits and pieces that have gone on at that exact moment.
Well, The UFO has just flown by, and I think we're all stunned in disbelief. That's exactly what's just happened there at this moment for Orbit Drop Bear. That was a major, major moment here. You can see Byron Pierce just tries to get the run on the outside here. It's a better run. He's trying to close it off. Byron's got to merge back, but when you go out onto the curb, if you want to be technical, he is off the racing surface.
The critical factor, it was the all four wheels off the racing surface. Now, that is not an off-track. The gravel is effectively the off-track at that corner. So that is technically, by the iRacing definition, still within the track bounds. For the league, though, it's a little bit different. And then there's also...
Oh, it's another drop bear car.
Mackay got down the inside. I think that's Ethan Bass in the Mustang. I think he's the only entrant in the Mustang from the team tonight.
Well, Ethan Bass ended up with nowhere to go, and this will be Dean Mackay now coming in to take service after all of that. So that's just trying to avoid the problem out there. Eskandari in, Stadler in, Williams in. They're all thinking about their stops and where they want to be in the race. But suddenly, this race in the mid-pack has added a little bit of spice to the broth as far as it goes. Pierce now back behind Scordilis, trying to find a way through. Capel is clear with Kalen Williams at this moment in time. Shepherd then behind, and then a lap down Madeline McGee as far as it goes. Lockhart Brownlee behind that, and surely using the fast repair at the next stop as they look to climb on over. Byron Pierce for his role in that. He gets 10 for the trouble, Scott.
Yeah, and that effectively says that to me, it was beyond the surface of the racetrack is basically how that's been adjudicated. So, sorry, that's actually just been
changed.
Yeah, it's actually been upgraded to a 15-second, not a 10-second.
So add an extra 5 on top of that, Byron. That's not going to be nice out there, and it will be, if you're on the outside, you have to yield the space if you're not on the racing surface. So that, I think, tells you all you need to know about this. And I'll tell you something that we haven't talked about as Scordilis and Pierce now swap places. It's now 3.2 seconds here for Dane Woods and Sean Campbell, and it's actually 12 seconds back to Zach Rattray-White from the race lead. So those two have checked out, and everybody else is just watching going, oh, they're just gone.
Yeah, and I think Lillis is trying his utmost to run down Rattray-White. This is all going to come down to that final pit stop. Again, as the conditions ease in the afternoon, you know that the tyre wear is also going to come down as well. So it's going to be left-hand side tyres, I would say, if you're thinking about tyres, because the track temp is so hot, it's certainly just taking so much extra. I don't think you're taking rights. This will be the difference between left-hand sides and no tyres. And during the limited last weekend, the big thing that we found was that left-hand side tyres only was about 10 seconds that you paid, but it was the overtaking ability of your car that you just lacked.
And just get a bit
clearing cars.
Just get a bit more information on what brought the safety car out, Scott, and why we saw that issue that went through. We're getting word hardware failure.
No, obviously, I don't think that's a hardware failure for... He had a moment on the way into pit lane.
That's
unless
what
he's
race control have said.
The only other thing that it can be to me is if he's had a brake failure on board the Acura for car 33, but that's it. Yeah. He's had a moment on the way into pit lane. He's gone to catch it, and his only way to catch it was either to stuff it directly in the tyre bomb of the pit lane entry, or it was to jump at the side.
Well, I think that's going to be rather telling. You don't get much closer than that. That was very much pushing to the extremities and the limits there for Kobe Williams.
Yeah, and he's just trying to get his job done as best as he possibly can at this juncture of the race, because we're in the middle of all these pit stops. The one thing I think you do want to do, so if you've got a fast race car and you're quicker than the car that's ahead of you, you just need clear air. And that's why you'll jump into the pit lane and get your pit stop done and clear it as early as you possibly can. Clear air is the biggest key. So not only is there strategy advantage in terms of not only the raw pace of your car, but there's also the tyres and what you're going to do with the tyres. But if you think that there is an opportunity for you to get in, get a fresh set of boots on and pull away with that fresh set of boots, use them, because you need to start eating into that hole of the car ahead.
Now, Joel Jansen's here, I am looking around at this, has got the black flag of disqualification next to his name at car 282. So he is out, and now I am really intrigued to know how he has got out of this race and for what reason he has been disqualified by iRacing. Oh, he's gone backwards in the pits too far.
He's missed his pit stop. Yeah. That's what it is.
And
That's
he's gone
that's looking as well.
backwards, trying to find his box, and he's gone too far back, and he's been disqualified for going backwards on the racing surface.
Yeah, well, racing in the pit lane. You generally don't want to use reverse gear in the pit lane. All of our top three into the pits at the same time. It'll be interesting to see if Lillis follows them in, because again, we're looking for strategy advantage. Yes, he does. So this will be as far as anyone on that recent stint was. 25 laps was the furthest distance that you could make it.
Yep, so there's now end game here. Nick Wood will be the next car around, and we'd expect him to come in as well, but Damon Wood should have a comfortable stop to get him out and away, and he is clear, and he will now re-inherit the race lead right now, and he realizes that he's in a pretty privileged position out there. He will merge just in front of Aidan Rankin. Then at this moment in time, a lap down, Sean Campbell will merge. Oh, how unlucky for Sean Campbell, right behind Lewis Greathead.
Yeah, he's got work to do, and Lewis will try and get out of his way, does so at the earliest opportunity. So just taking a quick look, for Damon Woods and Sean Campbell, no tyres. So they've gone for it. It wouldn't surprise me if Rattray White, no, he's also gone for no tyres. I was just going to say, somebody from that lead group may as well just throw the shoe on the other foot, try and get aggressive.
Oh, Scordillis straight on. That was a big old off there for Andrew Scordillis as he was trying to work his way around with all of that. Capel and Williams then with their clearance, and Scordillis then the lap traffic. He's just had a 4:04 last lap.
Does that mean he's sped in the pit lane is the only thing that I'm thinking?
Well, I'm looking around, and we'll have to go back and have a look because he wasn't stopped on circuit. Jay will have a go and have a look for us there, but ultimately for Scordillis, yeah, out of the pits, yeah, it would have had to have been a speeding penalty or something of that ilk that has held him for so long.
I'm just taking a quick look. I was just having a quick look. His pit lane in was fine. His pit lane, it looks like his pit lane out was fine as well because he hasn't had to come back into the pit lane.
I think we're going to get eyes on this as Richard Mitchum has his battle. We'll get to that point in a moment, Scott.
Just wondering, was he not in his pit stall?
So he was in his pit stall. Mitchum still having to fight hard here. Look at this then, over to TV3. Straight down the inside goes Greg Cook, and oh, he just goes a little wide, and now up the hill. He can fight it for Kamsa. Ferrari versus Lambo. Hold on. Greg Cook, that's brilliant.
Andrew Scordillis has had 2 bites at the cherry in pit lane. I saw he pulled out of his pit box and then he backed back up and into his stall. So just watch this. So he pulls out of his stall, and then I haven't got enough fuel. I've got to put more fuel in it. Is what I think that is.
Well. Oh, who left the safety car engine running? God, oldest trick in the book. Don't blow up the safety car engine. You can't have a safety car for that point. Angus Lawford here in 20th position, having a lovely scrap out there with Nick Wood right now. And Nick here in the 308 McLaren, really going for it. Lawford, outside line, car off on the left-hand side, rejoining circuit. That's Jackson Dial.
Yeah, he's had a problem of some description. He's been looking for a little bit of stability behind him at the moment, Jackson Dial, in the last sort of 12 months.
Oh, it's Morella he's got into.
Oh. He's had a torrid time. So he was with Orbit Drop Bear a fair while ago. He's had some shuffling around, tried starting his own team. That necessarily didn't work out too well. And now he's found a lot more happiness here at Project 36, and that was an elbow that was thrown by Nick Wood just then as well.
So Nick's deciding he's going to get himself out there as well. So Kobe Williams suddenly realising he's getting the wrong end of the stick. Not once, but twice. That's just the natural line that gets taken through there. And Kobe's not going to take too kindly for it. Oh, and he's going to try and get himself a little bit closer then in that regard. Kobe Williams has a black flag next to his name, and I would turn around and look at that here. That would be for 40 incident points.
Or not clearing his slowdowns the other one, but he's been using the off-track limits like crazy, using them like candy. And eventually, well, the thing is, don't forget, one extra and off-track, he's actually had a couple car-to-car contacts. I reckon he was about 40-odd, and then he's had a couple of car-to-car contacts.
Right, here's Jackson Dial, who's trying to get back up to speed. So he has a little wiggle there through 3. So that opens up the door for 1 to go through. Morella goes, oh, free position down the inside. I'll have it. Oh, I'm out of room.
That room disappeared, though, at the last possible opportunity. He was still, for Dial, he still had a car to his inside up until the last possible moment where he could start to turn in. So, and by that stage, I mean, Marino, he was there. So.
Lewis Greathead has been assessed a 5-second time penalty out there, and it's just come in over race control. Marino Morella's getting 15 for that, Scott.
Yeah, it was late. It was very, very late, but the thing is, sometimes you've got to open the door just a fraction.
We know that racing drivers, as well as we look at Eli Donaldson. He's having a great race here, fighting here now with Ethan Bass for 12th.
Yeah, he is. I was actually racing some Porsche Cup cars with him on Thursday night as well, and he's just back and enjoying racing. He's been doing NASCAR, just a bunch of stuff just to have fun. He's actually not looking to obviously necessarily perform at the tippy top of the level, but he's having fun, and that's actually what's getting the most out of him at this point in time. And yeah, he was, like I said, just struggling a lot earlier on, but he's just enjoying being back out there and behind the wheel and just having a go with it. And I got to be honest with you, as an owner of a McLaren wheel myself, I will always like to see McLaren doing well.
There's the move. Ethan Bass, nothing for it. Eli Donaldson gets it in at an absolute tearing rate and now has to fight back at 3. Look at Ethan Bass try and get on out there. Marina Morella with the 15 seconds is going to look to go for it. We can confirm it was instant points for Kobe Williams. That's why he's got to serve the penalty. And now Williams Sapstead there at Rapid Theft, having a little look then to the inside. Morella opens up Bass's door and says, can I come in? No, you've got no iron brew. I'm not going to let you in. And gives him a big old shove to the right-hand side. But he still insists, jams the foot in the door here. Does Marina Morella, but no, it's not there. Sapstead, massive slide. Yeah,
just trying to get back to the power as well. This is what the Mustang does late on. Is that torque in the rear end, and these guys in this little pack here have all taken tyres except for, Marino Morella and William Sapstead both took tyres at their most recent pit stop. Bass did not, and that's why he's a little bit of the walking wounded at this point in time. Eli Donaldson also took a set of tyres. And you can just see it. It's the traction coming off of the corners. The car doesn't want to settle and rotate, and it definitely does not want to get back to the gas for that Orbit Drop Bear Mustang.
It really doesn't, and you're seeing this here for Marino Morella. He senses blood in the water. He's got 15 seconds in the back of the pocket as well that he's got to clear. Now, a minute 5 puts him with Dean Mackay around 26th place. So he's got to really start working hard because he's not only got to get past, he's got to build some time up as well. So he will get the drive along the main straight. He will now start eyeing up his position to go through, and on the radio from race control, another 5 seconds going in, this time for Richard Mitchum. Yeah, and Mitchum's obviously not necessarily had a great race at this point. We've documented his issues with Dylan Shepherd earlier on in the race, and unfortunately he's just continued to not go his way. Morella's got to get aggressive at this point in time. This is what's happened to Richard Mitchum. Indeed. Oh, he locked it up. Yeah, touched the curb as well, just unsettled the car. That's technically a bump and run. 5 seconds covers that off. Yeah, it's a misdemeanor penalty out there. It's not like your big American DUI, but it's a misdemeanor out there that you end up getting caught up with. Marina Morella, 14th. Still having to worry about Sapstead as well behind, who is going to be certainly eyeing this up. This will be a nice scrap between now and the end of the race. And look at where sort of the pages have fallen out there, and you think drivers who have made great progress out there. Miles Burgess is up 25 spots. Yeah, he's just now 24 because he's lost Byron Pierce. Yeah, but at this point in time, I think that also says that
you know, hey, might not necessarily be on tyres. And indeed, his most recent pit stop, definitely no tyres for him. I think Eli Donaldson's taken left-hand side tyres, so he'll be quite racy and looking to try and pick him off. So again, this is the strategy's just going a little bit of both ways in this little bit of group. Sebastian Escandari, after all that trouble early on, dropped all the way back to 22nd. I think he's just picked off Kane Ryder this lap, back up to 21st spot, and he's actually going to go down. That is a difficult overtake.
That is tough through Europe car, and now trying to get it down to 14, catches a wiggle there as Dial just covers up and says, right, you want to turn the dial to 11, I've got 12 as an option out there. Morella to the inside then is going to get the pass down on Ethan Bass. Angus Lawford is eyeing up opportunity as well as behind. Kane Ryder losing out there. There goes Harald Stadler then to go and make the pass then as he jumps himself up another spot.
Well, that Chevy's just starting to become easier and easier and easier to drive and getting better and better and better as they work away at it. Interesting little race for him as well. Not necessarily been major, but been minor, just lurking away in the background. Myron Pierce is going to have another stoush on board as well. This will be interesting to keep an eye on.
It will be. Remember, Byron's got the 15 seconds, so Yeaman's going to finish ahead of him regardless, and Dylan Shepherd. So effectively, Dan Yeaman in this race is an effective P8.
And Eskandari and Jackson Dial have just come together as well.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Right.
I don't necessarily know if those cars would have made contact because there was Netco that got him involved.
Well, he's still trying to chuck it down the inside. He's got 2 tyres on the green stuff at turn 5. It's too aggressive for this style of racing for Sebastian Eskandari, and someone over at Team Max Boost is going to get in his ear right now. I know he's a young driver. I know he's got to learn, and they always say, oh, he's a young driver, he's got to learn about it. Someone's got to tell him to dial back the aggression, because he can't win every single race by going out there and going for the hero move every time.
Yes, but you'd rather have a driver that's willing to be a little bit more aggressive and that you have to tell to dial it back down than a driver that you've got to teach to dial it up. That's just, it's really, really difficult to do that. So, you know, and again, 14-year-old, at the end of the day, the guy is exceptionally quick in a Formula 4. He was just tracking some of the stuff that he's been doing over the recent, like you said, Formula 4 tests coming up as well. The world's his oyster. Mate, get him aggressive. You can always say sorry for stuff like this that happens. You can't say sorry for sitting in behind somebody and following them all the way home. And he's gotten the strategy wrong tonight, and this is the flip side of that story, isn't it? You get back through the field, and at the end of the day, you've also got to say to Jackson Dial as well, there's 2 cars involved in that one. And the reason that I'm actually singling out Jackson Dial in this situation is because Jackson's actually on an older set of tyres, and he elected to go side by side. And Eskandari really had priority at the final 2 corners, and Dial's made that rather difficult. So at the end of the day, is Dial technically at fault in this one? No, that penalty will absolutely go the way of Sebastian Eskandari. But at the same time, he could have done more to prevent himself being there. And fighting a car through 2 very, very high-speed corners actually costs you more race time. And what Dial's trying to do is minimize race time. Well, he's massively lost race time now. That's also worth considering.
Yeah, and Aiden Rankin, unfortunately, Scott has got a penalty, and it's 1 for being so good at defending. He's now trying to defend the leaders. He's got 1 for ignoring blue flags.
We're hearing it was actually a significant amount for P2 as well, so that's definitely an issue. And for Sean, he'll just be settling in, trying to make sure that he's looking after his stuff to the end of the race. He's not running him down. 15-second time penalty, that'll be for the incident, including Jackson Dial. So again, this is one of those ones where, okay, awesome, Jackson Dial won the letter of the law. He's won the letter of the law. Great job. But you've still been spun, and you've fallen off, and you've lost that advantage of not putting those tyres on. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Not every move needs to be fought for. Think about minimizing race time. Yeah, sure. Eskandari's got the penalty. Congratulations, you won the war of the words, but you lost the war of the racetrack. Is what I'm trying to say.
It's what we would call in the business a Pyrrhic victory, I guess, is the way to understand it. It's a Pyrrhic victory. You've got the penalty for your opponent. You've still lost the time. So what have you really gained? out of all of this. Lachlan Pryke, though, here, under pressure for rapid theft, because Angus Lawford right now is going to be in the wheelhouse of wanting to get up to 17th position, and will want to do so pretty pronto. Stadler, by the way, through on Nick Wood for position, so Harald has now got that pass and will be very happy about that pass being done. But Angus Lawford here, 17th, would be great at the moment, and Nick Wood is not done.
No, he's certainly having a go at it. But also think about Angus Lawford as well. What was he, out in 40th or something in the early stanza? We talked to him about also keeping his prospects alive and leveraging everything that he possibly had open to him. Again, just chilled. He's just chilled. The biggest thing that you can do to help aiding your ability to drive a race car is, at the end of the day, just be nice and smooth, calm, don't overgrip the steering wheel. And the biggest thing you can see about Angus, man, he's just in cruise control. There's nothing aggressive about everything that he's doing. He's just picking cars off, 1, 2, 3, sweet. All right, I'm not quite close enough to get a move done here. We're going to be nice and smooth, make sure we pull the car up at the apex, make sure that we're driving it to the limits of that race car. I've got a car to manage that's coming back at me from behind. I know that car's got a little bit, again, just smart, productive car going forward. There's no emotion in it.
No, and there doesn't need to be any emotion right now. This is still, I've got a job to do, and Eskandari here is looking for it. A lot of smoke from a car that's run off wide in front of them. So here comes Eskandari. Yeah, Angus Lawford gets the memo. I'm giving you a wide berth into turn 4. You go out there, be aggressive. You go lunging down the inside of Lachlan Pryke. There's that aggression of Eskandari, but it's a little too deep. So Pryke's going to just try and cut him back up on the exit here. Get it done. There's a push between the pair of them over to TV3. Pryke's got the inside line. Now Eskandari looks to try and cut up to get the inside of Cancer corner. It was tried to be defended there on the inside. Now on the right-hand side, up the hill it's going to go. Still going door to door. And Angus Lawford might get a really good run here and decide, I'm going to be super aggressive. I'm going to go to the inside. He backs out of it early, though, as they go in. Now to the outside. Still Eskandari tries. There's a fear that it's going to be Fears for Tears out there, the biggest band from my neck of the woods. But the move down the inside, Eskandari's got it done.
Oh, I got it.
A little shove to say, I'm not happy about the way that happened.
Yeah, he parked it up and he propped it up at the apex, but he got back into that rear bumper as well. Also, keep your eyes on the rear view mirror of this one as well, because all of a sudden, there's a Corvette, a Chevy, just starting to lurk up into the background of this one. Pryke and Lawford are both on really, really old tyres. Remember how I said this racetrack was going to get down to 37? It's got there, 37.8 degrees Celsius right now. It is still a hot racetrack. They're taking life out of the tyres. You can see the Mustang's not happy about it. Have a look at the vet. Stadler's here. He's thinking about it. He is thinking about optimizing his race and driving it smooth, cool as a cucumber. He has 4 fresh Pirellis underneath him. He has every tool he needs to pick these guys off. Watch it from the onboard shot, I reckon, of this Chevy. Just keep an eye, because it'll tell you how hard Lawford is driving this Lamborghini, and definitely how hard Lachlan Pryke is on the anchors in that Mustang.
Right, brakes, 5, look for the inside. Oh, he gets right up to the door and tries to use it as a pivot point. Does Angus Lawford? And he gets a shot. He gets turned. Spread eagle across the circuit. Now everyone's going to have to scatter. He's going to have to go quickly before Mazzaroli's group comes through. Finds himself on reverse. Now has to find the clearance on the circuit. Williams goes to the inside. He's trying to stay out of the way, avoiding action taken by Josh Holmes. He's back going again. I think everyone winced and bucketed up a little bit on that, but Angus Lawford still has a race.
And the beneficiary of all of that is Stadler, because now he's closer to Lachlan Pryke. When I was chasing a Mustang down in the dying stages last weekend, they chuck away their rear tyres. They get a little bit dancy at the back end. They really, really struggle for stability and traction. But that Mustang that's just ahead of Harold Statler, it's looking like it's leaning on its front left tyre, not the rears quite so much. There's not necessarily a whole bunch of attitude about it, but it is definitely vulnerable. And the other thing I can hear in the left-hand side of my headset is the brr, the growl, because Dean Mackay is showing up on that battle pack at the moment. And there is one Mustang leading this thing, and there is one Mustang chasing. And if I'm in a driver's seat, I hate that sound. I do not want to hear that Mustang coming up behind me.
It's not just any Mustang, it's a Mustang that wishes it was a top 5 Mustang out there, and very easily could have been today. So Dean Mackay looking at Harald Stadler, looking at Lachlan Pryke, they're all out there. We've still got the top 5 to figure out between Caelan Williams and Lachlan Capel. We'll keep an eye on that in the final 15 minutes, but there's the move down the inside at Repsol corner. Pryke on the outside. Stadler gets it done in the Corvette, and look at Dean Mackay fishing for a way to get it done on the inside. Now it's to go long way around to go and make the move, and he won't get there, and so now he's going to be sitting back going, how do I want to get this one done here on Lachlan Pryke? How do I find my overtake? How do I find my way through? Or do I even need to? The answer is they don't, because I believe it's going to be ruled as no further action that hit on Angus Lawford. So now you know, you're going to sit down and say, Lachlan Pryke, it's your time to defend it here. Mackay, does he send a big one up at Lekaiksa? Yes is the answer. He's going to get in the side.
Yeah, but there was aggression, and he needed to get down there. And again, have a look at the difficulties in traction. But the big thing is Lachlan Pryke is not waving the white flag. And for the second time on this lap, Dean Mackay's been out and in the marbles. Now he's got 2 tyres in the kitty litter as well, Jake.
Well, he's got to really fight hard here on the outside. Does he get the drive? Yes! Oh, what a move by Dean Mackay around the outside of turn 12 and 13 to get the move done. He had to work doubly hard to get it done. And now Byron Pierce, remember, he's got the second to penalty that he's in his back pocket. He dispatches a Lockhart Brownlee without too much of an argument there. So another one for Byron Pierce. Now Mesamo under pressure here as he works in towards turn 1 with Kobe Williams. So Kobe sands the penalty that he had to serve, diving down the pits, diving on the Porsche, getting the place.
Yeah, and some of Mazomo's Porsche has continued to just be in the struggle street. It's those long loaded corners in this thing. As that fuel weight burns out, there's less and less weight over the front axle. Brilliant traction. It wants a lot of stops and starts. That's where it's really all that well, but it's not going to find a lot of it around here, and it's just not necessarily been the greatest of nights. This is a racetrack that in theory should suit the McLaren. 2 turbochargers on board this thing. And it's always been a car that just sort of swings and rotates. They call it a little bit of a fidget spinner in the way that it drives. And again, this should be a racetrack that you want that sort of a car that activates the rear axle and really does things around. If you've got a well-performing McLaren, you've got a car that can slice and dice its way up and down the field. But if you've got a bad-performing McLaren, all of a sudden you are just basically handfuls of opposite lock just about everywhere. And that is a management aspect on both right foot, both hands, and left foot all as well. That is a really, really nice drive for me. Like, I cannot tell you how strong these McLarens have looked in race pace. Just imagine if they were just a touch quicker in their quali trim.
Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we are now 10 subscriptions away from 10,000 subscribers here at SimSpeed TV, which would be amazing for us. So tell your friends. Oh, who was that who unsubscribed? We were watching. Brant Tucker. We're watching. Right. Alexander Barallon right now keeping himself in that 15th place. He's got eyes on Eli Donaldson. And I'd argue in these final stages here, Scott, eyes on the 2 in front as well if he can reach.
Well, the big thing again comes down to tyres. Marino Morella has taken maybe less tyres. Sapstead's got a fresh set of 4. And Donald's the odd one out in terms of weakness, in terms of tyre strategy. I think he's taken left-hand sides. So realistically, this is fighting with one hand tied behind your back in the way that you're going about it. Eskandari and Ethan Bass. Yeah, no, I don't think this one's going to be taught. I think Ethan just had a look at his rearview mirror and said, there's a kid and an Acura coming. I think I'm good. I've seen anime.
Yeah, I know that he's got the wild, wacky hairdo. He's got the main character energy that's coming out of him right now. I absolutely do not want to fight someone who's thinking he's going Super Saiyan.
Mate, I was just about to say, I think he's about to head off and explore a region, collect some friends in a ball, and go beat some people's pocket monsters up and collect 8 badges.
I think it's a tournament arc.
Depends what kind of anime you're into. Perhaps this is one of those volleyball ones. They're always actually quite fun as well. But anyway, in the meantime, realistically, it actually does feel like, that's an interesting point to raise. You actually just piqued my interest. I do feel this is a little bit like an anime. You've got all your different kids. The guys that are driving the McLarens, they're the edgelords. They're off over in the corner. Anyone driving a Porsche, they're the weird guys. You stay away from them. I'm looking at you. Stay as far away from him as you possibly can. Then you've got your guys in the Ferrari. They're the cool kids. They're the expensive kids. They're the guys with the really, really cool European race car. And the guys with the Mustangs, there's the jocks. They love big things that growl.
Yeah, I think you've just summed up the class of 2026 here that we've got for the Premier Endurance League GT Open. So brilliant stuff out there. Mesimo watches in front because Holmes and Mazzaroli out there for position. So Mazzaroli loses out to Josh Holmes, which means the battle of double Z's. Here comes Barrelon to the inside then at turn 5. Looks for the drive off the exit over to TV3 at 7. Oh, Eli's not giving him anything. They're on the outside. But Barrelon just took his line and said, no, you're not having it. And speaking of having it or not having it out there, it's going on for top 5 honours all of a sudden because Williams here has Lachlan Capel for company. And soon they're going to have Dylan Shepherd right there just behind them, looking to get an on-circuit top 5.
Well, we're just talking about the cool kids and their anime and the Japanese-styled race car that's been ported over. Anyone that drives an Acura absolutely watches with subs, not dubs. They like their anime, but they need their English. They don't watch it in the true Japanese, do they? Now Capel's going to have a crack at him. Definitely going to try and go the long way around. He's got good traction at the moment. That car is driving really, really, really well. And around the outside of turn 1, if you don't mind, Sperry, put that one right up there on the top shelf.
Love it. That is a nice pass there from Lachlan Capel on Caelan Williams. The respect between the pair of them. I think they understand they need the fastest combination now with 8 minutes to go to keep Dylan Shepherd away from this group right now. And even Byron Pierce, if it gets busy with these 8 minutes left, we are in the final stages. And is this where Caelan Williams uses that real-world experience to go, right, I'm basically going to do the Rock Lee thing of taking my gauntlets off?
Well, the big thing is they've got a spotter in there in the Orbit Drop Bear chat. I was just having a quick look through and I was eyeing it off all night long. They will know that the car that's in their rearview mirror has a bulk load of penalties that's certainly going to be assessed to it. So again, that'll be communicated to them. Shepard's got pace. He's got supreme pace at the moment. He's certainly taking chunks out of them. We're down to 7 minutes and 20 seconds left in terms of the race. I think we're looking in the realm of perhaps another 4 laps. Might get the 5th lap in, which might get us to 69 laps, which would be a nice way to end the night.
It would be a nice way to end the night, and it's up to the responsibility of Damon Woods, who is now 7 seconds clear at the front of the field. Trent Allen needing a splash and dash to get himself home and dry. That's going to hurt, being 7 minutes short out there, as Danny Davidson under pressure from another current SimSpeed commentator out there, Brock Cadday.
Yep, still trying to put that power down and do the best that he possibly can, and 2 Lamborghinis going toe-to-toe is always an interesting result. I'm curious, what do you think? Are you a Huracan fan? Are you a Temerario fan? Where do you think this thing's going to go? Obviously, the biggest weakness of this car is at the end of the day, when the Audi R8 stopped rolling off the production line, you knew that the Lamborghini was not long for the world as well, and something needed to pop in and replace it. Temerario is one of those ones that's it's interestingly received. It's had glowing representations, but it's also had representations that they don't like it. And then the other side of that story as well is, don't forget, we've got a Genesis and a technically not a Toyota nor a Lexus coming our way.
I would say that the responsibility of what cars drivers go to is down to feel, as Morella down the inside and Miles Burgess gets the pass done. I do like the Huracan. I think it adds that level of aggression that everyone can be very, very pleased with. But something else will crop up and something else will crop up, and different, companies want to try and get their GT car to be the best out there. And so I turn around and say, there are great racing cars out there, but every single racing car in the world has a shelf life, and it's good that cars have a shelf life, because if it drags on forever, you don't remember it as much as being, oh, it's a great car, because, oh, it was that car that pootled at the back for 6 or 7 years. Yeah,
and eventually things just ran away from it, and that's really the lifespan of the Acura. Be interesting to see whether Honda Acura make another turn as well, because technically the Acura is available to us, I think, until 2029. I think 2030 is the first year that its homologation actually wears off, unless somebody comes through and puts another Evo package on it. So that's another debate as well. I'm a big, I grew up on Gran Turismo 2. So for me, we need a Honda NSX in the field. That for me is the lifeblood of the car. I was actually really, really surprised with Toyota as well. They elected not to go with the Supra, because if there's something that would have evoked fans and car culture internationally, the Supra. Could you also imagine if Mazda put an RX-7 back on a GT3 field? Boy, what would that do?
I would love an RX-7 Mazda, but I'm sure we'll end up with however it's going to be, the Foreman finish that is going to be set up in that regard. I also do want to congratulate Brock Cadday on getting engaged a couple weeks ago. It's very good. It's very rare for us sim racers to actually find engagement, so well done, Brock. You've done one for the team. Right, this battle goes on, though, continuing into turn 1 and 2. Vermilion Esports wanting a way to go through with Richard Mitchum. It's Kane Ryder there for Max Bush. Lachlan Pryke, who is there as well, just in front. And now in these final stages, I think it's all out, or do you want to protect your points? Or Mitchum looking for the inside, gets to the curb and scares off the line slightly with that diamond line. Can't close it back in, Kane. Mitchum still there, working on the outside, gets the pass because that's a lift off from Kane.
Yeah, again, just smarts, race smarts, put it all together. We're within spitting distance of that finish line, and it'd be horrendous to put an hour and 50 minutes worth of work together, an hour and 55 minutes worth of work together for it all to come undone at the back end. And again, that's a Mustang that's just ailing. I think it's worked out for the majority of guys who haven't taken tires, but it's the guys that have been smart about it as well.
Byron Pierce is going up to 7th place. He's through on Dylan Shepherd here, who lost a second on that last lap by comparison, and suddenly Kalen Williams is the one who's going to be under threat. Remember, Byron Pierce sits down with a bit of penalty as well. Mackay versus Bass, this one for 18th, into the final corner. Really aggressive lines by the pair. Look at Mackay. He's going to understeer out wide here, and that might compromise the run on the main straight, and he gets on the radio saying, I'm not happy about that. He pushed me off.
Oh, there was a call of brake checking. Yeah, so it was actually said. He actually said it. So the problem for Heath and Bass is, remember, he's also at the back end of his tyre life. So the tricky factor is trying to make the apex of that dying stage. It is tight. It is tight for anyone who's right at the back end of tyres. So...
Look at this, Mitchum, Pryke, side by side. Ryder still watching on here, and Mitchum gets it. Now Kane Ryder looks to uncork it, and it's covered off.
Bravery is going to be what's required. Bravery, implication as well. Make sure that your rear tyres, this is where it all comes down to, is these final couple of minutes. If you have been nasty to those tyres, this is where they'll start treating you foully. Kalen Williams is Acura, starting to ail a little bit in performance. This is where Cable's been better. He's still got tyre necessarily left underneath him. The Acuras from Orbit Drop Bear have been strong. I harken back to the last round of GT Pro last year from the mountain, and they put together a phenomenal performance on that occasion. Harrison Lillis was relishing in the opportunity to whip the Acura back out and put that thing back together. Loves it when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's tricky. So Lillis is the better place to the Acuras in the field tonight. Eskandari was there and thereabouts as well. And then you would certainly say, if not caught on the wrong side of the strategy, was certainly capable of being at the point.
Oh, very easily. And that, I think, we have seen again and again and again. Williams holding his mark. Now a lap and a bit to go for your race leader, Damon Woods. He is 8.5 seconds to the green right now, and he hasn't really seen anybody since the restart, and he put the pass on Sebastian Eskandari. We've hardly seen anything of that #1 black, red and white machine, because it's the biggest thing. A change for the top 10. Dan Yeaman losing out position then as Marino Morella. He's going to fight with him as we now focus on this, and the move is now made. William Sapstead is on the back of this one, wanting to get through. This will be to get into the top 10 between them. Nick Wood.
Two Ferraris are out of fuel.
For it.
Two Ferraris are out of fuel. Tristan McLaren and Madeline McGee have both gone to pit lane. McLaren, I think, might have sped on the way into the pits.
Well, that's going to hurt, because that's going to be penalty, and you can't serve it on the final lap, so it'll be added as time penalty at the end. Sapstead to the inside of Dan Yeaman, gets it with a lap and a bit to go, and says, yeah, that is how I want to get that pass, and critical in that there are drivers suffering. And Morella now thinking about this one as the final lap is official at the moment. Kalen Williams still holding that 6th place, still getting some tow from the car in front of him, which is the lap traffic of Curtis Bird, which is right now giving everything then and more so for Williams right now. Over Campsa corner, goes Damon Woods, and he will know that he has started his season off exactly as he means to go forward. He is a really, really incredible talent when it comes to sim racing. It doesn't matter what he does here in the Australias. He is the number one at whatever he sets his mind to, and he's giving drivers like Sean Campbell, one of the best in the business, something to think about, to say he is 10 seconds clear. 2 corners remain for Damon Woods, and everybody once again lost to him right now. Car 1, P1, job well done. Damon Woods wins the Open of the Premier Endurance League GT Open here at Barcelona.
Yeah, phenomenal job. Obviously just a car doing quite well. A Ferrari looked brilliant. When it got into clear air, Sean will be sitting there and going, yeah, look, I don't necessarily think I had the best car today, but he'll be frustrated with being 10 seconds back. I think a little bit of that's come back through from traffic. Rattray White will end up being 14, 15 seconds adrift of Sean Campbell, about 25 seconds back from the race lead. So his final stint of the race has not necessarily gone the way that he wanted. All 3 of those guys did not take tyres in the final stint of the race as well. I think the margins certainly represented that. Caelan Williams fell off in the dying stages. The car out of fuel on the outside. Is that Williams? That's Sapstead. That's Sapstead out of fuel.
That's Curtis Bird. It's Curtis Bird who's out there, and as they look at them all, as they're trying to get to the line, look at it, they're almost 3-4 wide as they go completely out of fuel over the line is Byron Pierce. Dylan Shepherd then gets pushed through, black flag as well, that is out there, so they're all trying to make it over the line. Yeaman is out, so Miles Burgess will pick up the spot as well. Oh my goodness gracious me, what a finish we are setting ourselves with as everybody now taps the fuel gauge.
Well, I was just looking at it. We didn't even question that. We just looked at it and went, well, Sean Campbell said to us definitely a 2-stop strategy, and there was a safety car in the middle of that. That means it was comfortable. It was a lot tighter than that. A lot tighter than that.
So tight, and everyone's had to be a little bit more switched on as to what they needed to do, what numbers and marks they were all trying to hit, and so ultimately it's been a tough day at the office, and still the final cars trying to make their way around. The likes of Simon Mesimo, who will be the last finisher on the lead lap then as he looks to drive around. He's strapped in, and I would say he's been a little hot under the collar the way that he's had to race today for Synergy Sim Racing, but a P29 nevertheless, a +5, Scott.
He'll have a few things to say about that, I'm sure, but look, as soon as he crossed the line, the belts come up. He looks sweaty, he looks hot, and he looks as if he's worked hard for every piece of that. It was not an easy race, and, well, the temperature in his room looks, to be honest with you, actually nowhere near the temperature that was on that racetrack in the moments in the dying stages of that one.
Damon Woods wins this one out in 2 hours and 59 seconds. He wins by a margin of 9.7 over Sean Campbell, with Zach Rattray White finishing off in 3rd. Harrison Lillis will need 3 Logitech G OBDM cars in a row, 4 in the top 10, with Lachlan Capel and Caelan Williams behind. Dylan Shepherd will be dropped back due to his 35 seconds worth of penalty, so in fact Lockhart Brownlee makes it 4 in a row, 4, 5, 6, 7, with Marina Morella in 9th, and William Sapstead there, Scott, rounding your 10.
Yeah, outside the 10 though, it was aggressive in terms of the way that the guys were attacking each other. Miles Burgess will get shuffled up, you believe, into P10. Dan Yeaman runs out of fuel in the dying stages. That one drops to 12th. Alexander Barrelon, Eli Donaldson home in 14th, potentially might move his way up to 13th. Sebastian Escandaro also had penalties. He'll get shuffled a little bit further back. Good to see Harald Statler, the Austrian, up there and into 16th position. Dean Mackay as well, cutting his way back through the field. The moment that he had with Ethan Bass in the dying stages of that one. Richard Mitchum, interesting race from his perspective. I think there was a little bit more on the table. I think he saw that as well, but you know, issues for him through the field, and Kane Ryder home inside the 20.
Over then to 21st, where Lachlan Pryke finds himself ahead of Joshua Holmes, Kobe Williams, and then Nick Wood in 24th. Byron Pierce, with the time added on as he crossed the line with the black flag, goes all the way back now to 25th place, with Jordan Mazzaroli, Angus Lawford, and Chris Taylor. Simon Mesimo, the last car on the leading lap, in 29th. Brock Cadday, the first lap down, he's there in 30th.
Outside the 30, we get back to the guys that certainly didn't have things go their way today. Lewis Greathead, chief among those, Dean Reddit, Jason Wilkinson. Danny Davison, strategy didn't play out for him with not taking tyres at the first stop. Greg Cook from Trent Allen, Brendan Purcell, Curtis Bird, Andrew Scordillas had a very, very weak race in terms of him. Something went on there. We're not 100% certain what happened, but he dropped 2 minutes, and Aiden Rankin.
Yeah, so that's 2 laps down as far as it goes, and then Tristan McLaren 2 down, Madeline McGee at 2, Corey Bennett at 3, and your retirees, and it's 3 Project 36 cars, Jaden Green, Jackson Dial, and Joel Janssens, who would in fact get disqualified from the race for going backwards. William Morgan out the race after a massive shunt of his front, and Mark Hilly suffering today after a big long day at the office. He decides he's going to park it behind the fence as things on go. Well, now is our opportunity to chat with some of our drivers, and well, no better place to go than to the driver who just cannot stop winning. It seems to be infectious for Damon Woods at the moment. Everywhere I go, for P1 Damon, and for you, again, another measured and controlled race at the front of the pack, dominated the early proceedings. How much did the safety car put any sort of doubt in just as it was coming about to that first stop?
Well, the safety car made it easy for us. We were umming and ahhing about if we took tyres in that first stop. But yeah, the safety car made that pretty simple. It would have been silly if we didn't take tyres, because the field was going to be compressed after anyway. So yeah, I think that made our decision quite easy and realistically saved us a lot of heartache in terms of trying to figure out the strategy with tyres. But yeah, I mean, it did compress the field even when I did have a good gap, but in the end I knew I had the car pace to try and pull away.
And that pace and having that confidence with the pace, because it seems like as well, every time I see you, you've got a different partnership, a different team that goes out, because I know you've got the partnership that you've got, of course, with the Eclipse boys. You've got the big partnership with most of the sim world you're driving with today. You do a lot of work as well with the Falcon team. So having all of those different stokes in the fire, so to speak, for you, does that help you pick up a lot more information than you would do otherwise if you were just stuck in one team?
It definitely helps, especially for the Australian side of things, having that link with the Eclipse boys. I can work with guys that are within my time zone, which makes things much easier, especially for leagues such as this. And then I can bring the knowledge across from the European side of things as well, which has been really helpful this year. It's definitely opened my eyes to some new directions on setup, and I think that proved tonight.
Well, one from you. Barcelona has treated you happy. Are you feeling like it's again going to be a happy hunting ground when you head yourself over to the Nürburgring in a few weeks' time? Do you feel like that circuit, another European-style circuit, is going to be again in your wheelhouse?
Traditionally, the Ferrari's been pretty good at Nürburgring, and me personally, I quite like the track. So I think we should be in good stead. Looking forward to the season, I think Daytona is probably going to be our weakest track with the Ferrari. Just based off previous special events and also official weeks. But we have some good knowledge about that car at that track, so I think we should be fairly confident going to there. And we'll see how we go. I mean, I enjoy all the tracks on the calendar, so we'll see where we end up at the end.
Well, car number 1, qualified P1, finished P1, in P1 in the championship. It seems like one follows him everywhere he goes. Damon Woods, a huge win here today from this wonderful Barcelona circuit. Scott Rankin has walked down the virtual paddock. He finds himself with Sean Campbell.
Sean, tricky night. Fuel management became a really, really important part of the second half of that race. You just heard from Damon, the early safety car basically made it a no-brainer. The time lost for taking tyres effectively halved. You don't lose enough time under a safety car period to take tyres. That sort of locked the strategy in. But in terms of tyre life, what were you dealing with at the back end of the race as the track cooled down? Were they still going away from you? Was it still tricky to manage in the second half of that one?
Well, I did notice in the second half that it was too rearward balanced. I think I set the car up to have good rear traction, and then it was too good. the fronts wore a little too much, which is, I mean, he was pulling away from me anyway, right? But I started dropping a little bit, I would say, after 10 or 15 laps of that run. But yeah, no, my tires were fine. I think my rear left was at 45% at the end, so it was pretty good.
In terms of things, obviously Ferrari quite strong here, and just the balance just going the way of Damon. But the big thing that we're expecting from you and showing up into this one is, there's a long list of circuits left to go to. Damon's just mentioned Daytona is going to be a weak one for him, but this Lamborghini, it's known for its traction, and I think getting off the hairpins of some of the tighter racetracks to come. You look at Nürburgring, getting off of turn 1, getting off of the hairpin down the bottom of the track, and then you get off to Sebring as well. There's going to be opportunities for this car to potentially be the quickest car amongst the field. Do you think you've got what it takes to take it to Damon in the second half of this year?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so. I know this car in particular, right, and it's the reason it's so good at Sebring and Daytona as well, is the traction. It is fantastic on the curbs and stuff. So if we go to Nürburgring next round, I think, right, and if it's, I actually don't know which layout it is, but if it's the GP chicane with the really giant curbs, it'll be super quick through the chicane. And so, and any track that's got really giant curbs, this car's actually really good at.
And finally, brother, definitely tricky in terms of the heat. Obviously, the rest of the events throughout the season are going to be at tracks that have certainly got that jewel in the crown sort of feeling to it. We're off to Nürburgring, we're off to Road Atlanta, we're off to Sebring, and we're off to Daytona to finish the season out. If there's one race amongst those that you're sort of targeting, I want to win this one just because of what this track means, is there any amongst those that really calls out to you?
I mean, I like Road Atlanta. It's also, it's the closest track to me on the calendar. And I'm going to Petite this year, so I guess that'd be pretty cool.
Finally, who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to for car number 26 for Sean Campbell?
Y'all for broadcasting, because I know that it's really difficult. We tried.
Thank you very much for joining us, Sean, and we'll see you next time out for Nürburgring, and it's the Bezweck layout. There you go.
Okay.
That'll give you something to... Right, so I heard pit stops are going to be really, really important for this next one then.
Yeah. Not speeding.
Sean, there's a story behind that. Here's your opportunity. Throw yourself under the bus.
This was back in the LMP1 days, right? I was leading by 10 seconds, and I came in, and it was not 80 kilometers an hour, as it turns out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Campbell. He's an odd egg. Jake Sperry and I were talking about that before the stream, but mate, enjoy it. I know that there'll be some chatter in the Orbit Drop Bear Discord over the next couple of days, mate. I'll make sure I get over there and harass you.
All
right. Ladies and gents, Sperry's got our final finisher on the side of the podium, car number 17 in the Ferrari for Eclipse Sim Sports. It's Zach Rattray.
Zach, firstly, welcome back to Civilization. You're a little bit lonely there for the second half of that race. How do you look to keep that pressure going? You're building the gap to Harrison Lillis. You're seeing the top two starting to drive away. How do you keep the focus on, okay, I'm still in a really, really strong position?
Look, after that safety car, I saw Damon and Sean kind of just gap into the distance, and I just kind of checked out on the race. I was kind of just in my own little pocket. And I think it was about half an hour left. I just turned on Spotify and did my laps until the race is over. I knew I had decent pace, but I found the balance of the car to be a bit iffy. So I'm not sure how Damon managed to pull all the lap times that he was pulling out. But something to look at in the future, I guess.
What tunes were in your ear? I want to know what a race driver goes through and says, right, what am I listening to that keeps me going in a race?
I had mostly Olivia Rodrigo, to be honest, for this one. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Awesome, awesome. But for you as well, having to be aggressive as well on the restart with the dropping down of Sebastian Eskandari on a different tyre strategy. So how did you look to try and set yourself up knowing, okay, he's going backwards, how do I not get myself caught up with someone who's trying to defend for his life?
Yeah, I knew he was going to be quite slow with the tyre deficit because I knew he didn't take any tyres. So cold old tyres versus cold new tyres, we're obviously going to have the advantage. So it was a matter of time. I'm glad he didn't make it too difficult for me, so thanks to him for that. But yeah, I wanted to try and get past him somewhat quickly so I could at least see what the pace was like against the two up front, but clearly I had nothing for them, so that's when I did my thing and tapped out.
So how do you look at putting yourself in a position then at the Nürburgring where it's going to be a little bit easier for you in the Ferrari to say, right, I didn't get exactly what I wanted here from this round one, but how do I then look to build up the car to go and really attack back at the second round?
I think I should probably put in a bit more effort. For a start, I put in absolutely zero prep for this at all. So I think I need to help out Damon and Marino and a couple others with the car a bit more to try and maximize it, especially for me. I just didn't really feel comfortable at all throughout the entire race. So I think, like Damon said, I think the Ferrari's going to be much better at the Nürburgring. So yeah, hopefully a bit more comfortable and we can put a better show on.
Well, one thing we can say is good for you in terms of the result here today, and we'll wish you the best of luck over at the Nürburgring. Zach Rattray-White joining us then and getting a third place finish overall here today. Here's where we are, August 23rd on Sunday evening for you in Australia. It's the Premier Endurance League Open Series and this Grand Prix Strecker with the I would say the faster of the chicanes that are out there and available. It does take away a bit more of a heavier braking opportunity, but still, there are many great places to pass on a circuit like this one, Scott.
Yeah, and it's the switchbacks that are the really, really big difference between this and Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. You've got to be able to carry speed through fast corners, that's certainly for sure, but the Schumacher S is, okay, it's a lift off to get the car in. You know, there's turn one, turn two, it dives away from you rapidly. You can get in there very, very deep and narrow at turn one, then you know, somebody can flick it back down the inside, but that actually puts them on the outside for turn two. It's not as heavy-handed on the tires as certainly Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya is. We move a fraction later in the year as well. The temperatures are starting to come down. This still will be one that will challenge the drivers, but we saw great racing here tonight, particularly compared to the Limited. You know, there's a little bit of difficulty in perhaps overtaking at times in Limited. That didn't show its head tonight. Brilliant strategy. I think that was the big takeaway from this one, wasn't it? There was so many people who rolled the dice in terms of strategy and went in a different direction, not taking tires, and you heard from the guys there as well, Sperry, that there was a definite decision on whether or not to take tires based upon where that safety car was. Guys looking for position. Danny Davison, Sebastian Escandari didn't work out for them, but for all the guys that did take tires, again, how interesting was the overtaking at the back end? The difference between guys on 4 tires, guys on none. That was also brilliant to see as well.
It was absolutely epic, and that epicness will be coming to you from 7:55 p.m, so make sure to mark it down, and as well to subscribe to us here over on Sudspeed TV, because we are now just 4 subscriptions away from 10,000 subs, and that would be huge for us as a channel and will give us so much more of an opportunity to show you so much more amazing and wonderful things that has come to you over the course of what is coming up now a decade's worth of sim racing action here with us and SimSpeed. So please jump on in and give yourself as much to be a part of this online community that has brought so much great action to you. The Premier Endurance League GT3 Open is open for business, and it is open for business in a way where there have been a few drivers who have caught a couple of misdemeanors, a few drivers who said, I needed a little bit more in my fuel gauge. But one thing very much clear about today, nobody was able to find a way around Damon Woods. He's on top by 10, and he is sending out a challenge to all challengers. I do not want to be in a position where I am challenged this season. Come catch me if you think you're fast enough.
It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green.
He's got the run, but is it enough? It's a drag race to the finish. Culver goes from 3rd to 1st in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline, or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iRacing.com/special-events.